football fans. We have a special treat for you tonight. We are honored to have Jenna White, a former Spanish Fork Don and America's Got Talent contestant, sing our national anthem. Jenna is a 2002 graduate of Spanish Fork High School and a wonderful member of the Spanish Fork Salem community. She is a cancer survivor, and she is once again battling brain cancer. We wish her the best and ask all of you to keep her in your prayers. Please welcome Jenna White to the field. Remove your caps and rise for the Star-Spangled Banner.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we crossed as the and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Give it up for Jenna White. Fans, we'd ask that you please remain standing as we honor Spanish Fork High School's legacy as the marching dons perform our school's alma mater. All hail Spanish High. Please sing along if you know the words.
Hey, bud. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, football fans, who's ready for some Friday night football? Please direct your attention to the north end zone. Get on your feet, make some noise, and welcome in your Spanish Fork Dons.
High school football on Spanish Fork 17. We're set and ready to go on homecoming night at Dawn Stadium, and Spanish Fork is at home for the Salem Hills Skyhawks and what could be a key contest for the Spanish Fork Dons. And with the week the Dons have had with the first RPI rankings coming out and finding themselves in the top within the top 5 spots and within the top 2, a great week for Spanish Fork. Now they have the opportunity to have homecoming, have a rival in town for a fun one tonight. Ryan Pickens alongside Chris Hurst. And Chris, you mentioned something when we both got up here tonight. We haven't been here for Spanish Fork in a month or so. We're back here in the new Dawn Stadium. It's a great night for high school football, and we get a local rivalry game with a lot of connections and friendships and families, and it's going to be a good one here tonight at Spanish Fork.
Yeah, it should be an exciting night. And last time, or it's homecoming, and so 20 years ago, they're celebrating that class. I'm assuming it's like 2000 or 2002 maybe. And so when in 2002, these two high schools were actually just one, and that was Spanish Fork. The Salem kids kind of would commute over here via the bus. So as the Dons take the field here, it should be an exciting, emotional night here. You mentioned Spanish Fork is number 2 in the RPI. Somehow they beat the number 1 team in the RPI, Springville, and could only get up to the 2 spot. Not sure how this works. We saw last week number 3 Provo just narrowly come away with the victory against number 30 Maple Mountain, and Maple Mountain's out of the playoffs. You have to be in the top 24 to make the playoffs.
That is one of the big changes from what we've seen in years past to this year with the RPI. You have to be in the top 24, and really a big one tonight for Salem Hills because, like you mentioned it earlier, Chris, earlier in just our conversation, beating the teams that are in the lower part of the RPI hasn't seemed to allow you a big enough jump as going to beating a team that's at the top. And when you look at Salem Hills in this position, this might be a big game. This is one of a big test for them, number 2 in the RPI, and a chance to move up. As you take a look at some key Region 9 games tonight, Maple Mountain's over in Heber taking on Wasatch, Springville and Provo. That's going to be a big one up in Provo here tonight.
Yeah, big games tonight. Springville's number 1, Provo's number 3. Potentially, if Springville loses that and Spanish Fork wins, does Provo pass them? I don't know. The RPI is ran by computers and not human-based. The human polls are a little easier to predict, so who knows? I guess if you're Spanish Fork, you're just worried about winning tonight, and same thing goes for Salem Hills, taking it one game at a time.
These two teams, in some ways, have kind of flipped roles from what we've seen, Chris, the last couple of years. We're used to seeing Salem Hills at the top of the RPI with a high record, and right now, Spanish Fork, they seem to have something going after that big win last week against Springville. Yeah,
that was a huge win for Spanish Fork last week. They went over to Springville, pretty much had, I believe, a big third quarter to run away with that one and hang on in the fourth, so a big win there, and Austin Stevenson, Kate Olson, Tayson Reed, Buck, all had huge games for the Dons, and they put up a lot of points on a tough Springville defense.
And that's going to be a key, probably one of those key games when you look back at the Spanish Fork regular season. The coin toss going on right now here at the 50. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Triple T Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing keys to the game here while we have a chance. Because Spanish Fork, you talk about when you get into homecoming week, we talked a little bit about this last week at the Maple Mountain homecoming, a lot of distractions with the events going on, and then you add in the idea, Chris, that it's such a big rivalry game with Salem Hills, and I mean, here we go. I mean, there's a lot of recipes here coming off of the big win. The Spanish Fork's really going to have to stay focused.
Yeah, they beat the number 1 team in the state, and sometimes you look at Salem Hills' record, hey, they're only 1-4. Their only win was against a 3A school, 2 classifications lower in JUAB. So we should be able to walk over these guys. But, you know, every Friday night here in Utah high school football, anybody can beat anybody. So I think they got to avoid the big game letdown tonight. Also, I think Spanish Fork's got to get the ball into some of those playmakers' hands, Buck, Olson, and let them get in some space and get some yards. And then also, Salem Hills has thrown a lot of INTs this season. So I think if Spanish Fork can get after the quarterback, put a little pressure on assuming it's DeGraff and Reed tonight, then come away with some INTs and set their offense up with great field position. I think if they're able to do those things, they'll be victorious tonight.
It'll be fun and exciting, ready to go here back at Don Stadium here in Spanish Fork. The Dons will kick it away here. Salem Hills will get the football first, and we're just about set and ready to go right here on homecoming. Austin Stevenson will get ready to tee it up here for Spanish Fork. The Dons in the all gray with the gray helmets. You see Salem Hills there in the white tops, kind of the sky blue pants with the sky blue helmets. We're set and ready to settle in for high school football here on a Friday night from Spanish Fork. The sun is starting to set, and we are ready to get set and get underway here. 12 minutes on the clock here on Spanish Fork 17. Back deep to receive for Salem Hills will be Court Stewart, number 5. And I believe that's number 28, Dagan Gamble.
And I'm noticing there's really not very much wind tonight. Last week, wind was a factor at Maple Mountain High School, where if you were going north, you had a little easier time throwing the ball.
Both of these teams have excellent kickers who both can kick it into the end zone on the kickoff. We may not see a lot of kick returns tonight, which, obviously Spanish Fork would love to get the ball in Kate Olson's hands on a couple of kick returns, or at least one. But Austin Stevenson kicks this one away, and it goes into the end zone, and Salem Hills will bring it out to the 20-yard line, where they're going to be led by the 6'4 senior Luke DeGraffenried at quarterback here for Salem Hills. This is a Skyhawk offense. The last couple of years, Chris, they've had some returning players. Not the number of returners, but still some guys in there that can make some plays when they touch the football.
Yeah, and DeGraffenried comes from a very athletic family, well known for basketball back in the day in Payson. So we'll see what he can do against this Spanish Fork offense tonight. He has had a little turnover problems, but if his line gives him enough time, I'm sure he'll have the ability to make some plays out there.
Number 9, Kobe Carter in the backfield as the Skyhawks will spread the field, and I think Salem Hills having to make a late substitution right here.
Looks like they wanted a left tackle after all.
So Skyhawks ready to go right here. 1st and 10 from their 20. Opening play of the game for Salem Hills. Kobe Carter in the backfield next to DeGraffenried. And a 3-step drop. There's a pass that is complete, making a man miss. That's Trayson Zobel, number 1, on the catch. Zobel able to get about 5 or so on first down.
Yeah, simple little pass there. Big positive play. Get some confidence going for DeGraffenried. And Zobel comes into the game with 14 catches and 200 yards. So he's their second leading receiver for Salem Hills. Watch for him and Fenn, number 8, to be featured tonight.
2nd down and 5 coming up here for the Skyhawks from the 25-yard line. 11:25 to play, opening quarter. DeGraffenried from shotgun. Carter right behind him. They'll fake it to Carter. They'll throw. That is going to be caught. That is Zaylen Fenn, as Chris just mentioned him, and Fenn gets it out to the 34, and that's good enough for a Salem first down.
Yeah, Fenn does a great job of holding onto this ball as he gets laid out there by Tenny Worthen, number 8. So, number 8 on number 8 that time.
And we'll see. We've seen Salem Hills manage the clock in years past. We've seen them want to go up tempo. And I would imagine this year you may see them try to control a little more clock.
Yeah, I think they'll want to shorten the number of possessions in this game.
Three receivers to the top of your screen for the Skyhawks. DeGraff and Reed directing traffic. They'll set up the screen pass. That one overthrown there, trying to get it out to Zobel on the screen, and that will bring up 2nd down and 10.
And Zobel's saying he wishes he was a little bit taller. But, yeah, that one had a lot of heat on it, too.
Zobel listed at 5'10", 155. Now we'll put Salem Hills in a 2nd and 10. Zobel, one of the returning starters for this, maybe not a starter, but a contributor for this Salem Hills team.
And the one thing we haven't seen from Salem Hills on this drive is a run yet, so I'm curious if they're just going all out pass tonight or if we're going to see any running.
DeGraff and Reed to throw, sets up the screen pass, tries to get it to Kobe Carter, but the pass goes to Carter's feet, and that goes incomplete. 3rd down and 10. The pressure there from the line really causing some problems there with DeGraff and Reed trying to get the ball out.
Yeah, 100% correct there, Ryan. The pressure caused DeGraff and Reed to throw that into the ground. Even if he would have got that to Carter, it would have been a loss most likely there as Spanish Fork brought the house, and I imagine we'll see more of the same here on 3rd down.
3rd down and 10, Salem Hills in a definite passing situation here, needing the 44-yard line for a fresh set of downs. 4 wide receivers, single back set again with Kobe Carter. DeGraff and Reed has some pressure, sets up the screen, completes it to Carter across the 35. He'll be brought down around the 42. That will be short of the yard to gain, and that will be a punting situation here most likely for Salem Hills, but that's kind of the same play they wanted to set up a play ago.
Yeah, and that's a good play call if you get a lot of pressure. If Carter is able to break one more tackle on that play, it's a 1st down instead. Salem Hills will be forced to punt here.
Bruce Butler on to punt. Darian Harrison back deep to receive. Butler, a very strong leg on the year. We'll see what Butler does on this punt right here from the 30-yard line. It's a good end-over-end punt, and that will go back. Cade Olson at his own 10. We'll watch it roll inside the 10, out of bounds at around the 5, and the Dons will start deep in their own territory here with here in the first quarter, and they will be led out by Austin Stevenson, coming off of arguably, Chris, his best game since taking over as the starting quarterback for the Spanish Fork Dons.
Yeah, and Austin Stevenson started the season thinking out he might be a kicker, and he's been able to have a very good transition from kicker to quarterback. That's not usually something you hear, but the coaching staff here at Spanish Fork saw some talent there. Dustin Smith runs his own quarterback factory, if you will. And so he's been able to mold young Stevenson.
627 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions for Stevenson. His long pass on the year, a 99-yard touchdown strike to Cade Olson at Desert Hills. Here is Joshua Buck on the first carry, and Buck almost breaking free into the secondary. He was one tackle away from breaking a big run. Still got enough there, it looks like, for a first down to about the 15.5, and a nice first down run for the Spanish Fork Dons.
Yeah, great blocking. That was a huge hole we saw in the instant replay there for Spanish Fork, and if you can get 10 yards on first down, just simply running it off the guard tackle there, I imagine we'll see more of the same here on a new set of downs.
First down and 10, ball on about the 16-yard line or so. Stevenson by himself. They send a man in motion and a mishandle. Stevenson now trying to just make something out of nothing there. He's pulled down from behind by number 99, Cook, and that will go maybe back to the line of the game, but Chris, I think he's lost a yard on that one.
Lost a yard that time for Stevenson, and that's one of those plays where, hey, we're either going to have the end around. We got 3 receivers bunched up that can potentially block for that play, or the quarterback can keep it and kind of read the defensive end there and see if he's got a lane on the outside. Unfortunately, I think the snap dictated that Stevenson had to hang on to the ball that time.
So it'll be 2nd down and 11 from the 15. Stevenson and Buck in the backfield. They'll give it to Joshua Buck right up the middle. And Buck there, again, another nice gain of about 6 or so, out to about the 21-yard line. And, Chris, if you can get in that 6 yards a carry average or so, you'll run Josh Buck all night.
You will, and, yeah, they got most of that back there, and it brings up a 3rd and about 4 here. So if you're Salem, you definitely want to try and get a stop, get your offense back on the field here. So this is a huge 3rd down if Salem can make a big stop here.
7:57 to play first quarter. No score between the Dons and the Skyhawks. Stevenson gives to Buck right up the middle. Buck runs into a couple of Skyhawks as Easton Cook was right there along with number 30 Clay Lyman, a senior defensive end, and the Skyhawks sniffed that one out quickly. It will bring up a 4th down and about 4, likely a punting situation for the Dons.
So the Skyhawks get the ball first. They decide to throw it on every down. They get 1 set of first downs and then have to punt. Spanish Fork runs it every down, has a similar outcome. So the battle of the run versus the pass here so far, Ryan.
So right now the Skyhawks a little confused as to who is going to return the kick. Finally get Trayson Zobel on the field. He's back at his own 44. They get some pressure on Stevenson, but he gets a good kick away, and it's fair caught at the 44-yard line by the junior Zobel. And with 7:01 to play in the opening quarter, we'll see the Salem Hills offense for the second time this evening here on Spanish Fork 17. Thank you for joining us here for high school football. We want to welcome those watching on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Spanish Fork 17, where you can catch our live broadcast and our rest of our SF17 programming here. Just look for youtube.com/Spanish Fork 17. So 1st and 10 Skyhawks from their own 44-yard line. DeGraff and Reed back in at quarterback, gives it to Kobe Carter, their first run of the ball game. Carter gets a yard or so. Couple of Dons getting in there on the tackle, including number 53. That is Dylan Thomas on the stop.
Yeah, really good job that time by Spanish Fork, only allowing a couple yard gain there before the stop there. And, yeah, Thomas that time beat his guy off the block, so he's able to get into that running lane in a hurry.
A gain of 2 for Carter brings up a 2nd and 8.
And that was the first run by Salem. We'll see if they're going to continue to keep it on the ground here or throw it on this down.
DeGraff and Reed and Carter deep in the backfield. DeGraff and Reed steps up, looks to run, goes down. He is sacked as it was Rupena getting there, number 44 on the 2 Jacks Pizza quarterback sack.
Yeah, the junior Tubby Rupena. It's been playing for a couple of years already. Number 44 gets in there in a hurry. And that'll put Salem in a 3rd and long. And we've seen Spanish Fork bring the pressure on 3rd and long here. So we'll see if they blitz a couple guys here and maybe leave one safety deep, maybe a cover 1 blitz here.
4 wide receivers for the Skyhawks. Trips to the bottom of your screen. DeGraff and Reed adjusts the play. Carter goes from his left to the right of DeGraff and Reed. Looking to throw. Screen pass knocked down by Brenner Shepard. Incomplete pass brings up 4th down.
And they were in there in a hurry. DeGraff and Reed really didn't have a whole lot of time to throw that pass as Shepard, as you mentioned, really able to blitz in there quickly and knock that down. So great job by Spanish Fork blitzing again on 3rd down.
So Butler will come in to punt, his 2nd punt of the ball game for Salem Hills.
His last one was Athena Beauty as he pinned Spanish Fork inside the 5.
This one, again, another deep punt. Cade Olson will have a chance at this one back at his own 9. Cross the 15, tries to cut back and cuts right in to a Skyhawk defender. And a nice open field tackle on Cade Olson at the 15.
So that'll bring up Spanish Fork having the ball at their own 15. So really not good field position for Spanish Fork early. They'll have to go 85 yards. We'll see if they open up the offense here and throw it a little bit, or if they're still going to try and continue to run it on the ground. I think they can have a lot of success with Buck if they keep it on the ground, as long as they don't try and get too fancy. It's when they try to get too fancy, I think, on that last drive when they didn't have a lot of success.
Josh Buck listed as a 6-foot junior. So he's got another year here for the Dons. Here's Buck on the carry, tries to bounce it outside, and a couple of Skyhawks there. Number 50, I believe that was Grant Barney, was the first Skyhawk there. The junior defensive lineman and offensive lineman didn't give Josh Buck much of a chance to get going on first down.
And Buck was surrounded by that swarm of Skyhawks as he had 3 guys around him before he even got out of the backfield, and a negative play there again.
Second down and 11, a loss of a yard there for Joshua Buck. Stevenson back to throw with some time. He's going to take a shot here. One-on-one to the top of your screen. Incomplete, trying to get it to Cade Olson. Olson turning around, looking at the official. I think he wanted some kind of contact there. One-on-one coverage right there. I'm not sure who is that. Was it Kobe Carter?
Carter, yeah.
May have been on the coverage there.
Carter was with Olson step for step, and Olson is really the playmaker for this offense as far as receiving. He's got 17 catches, 423 yards, 4 touchdowns. And to let you know, Stevenson has 631 yards, so pretty good. About 66% of his yards are going to Cade Olson this year.
It'll be third down and 11 back at their own 14-yard line. 4:29 to play here in the first quarter. No score, Dons and Skyhawks. Stevenson, option. There's the shovel pass. That's going to be Joshua Buck. He's got room. In fact, that's Tayson Reed, number 28, as Reed kind of gets going up the middle there. And Reed was one tackle away there from breaking that for much more. Nice job there. The Dons will take it, though, Chris, a first down.
Yeah, first down and a big pickup. Probably get some momentum going for this offense here as they're going to go a little bit faster, but a really good play design where you have 3 options. Stevenson can keep himself. He can pitch it to Buck, or he could have the shovel pass to Reed, and that shovel pass to Reed was not covered, and it was a great heads-up play by Stevenson to go with that option.
And Austin Stevenson has the legs to make that play himself as well. Here's a pitch. Tayson Reed tries to make a cut, and he's going to be dropped down. Grant Barney, number 50, in on the tackle, but it looks like there's a penalty flag from the far side of the field, and we'll see what the penalty call is here at Don Stadium.
We'll see if their microphone works here this week as well. I'm guessing that they lined up illegally, and it's going to be a 5-yard. They're going to move it back 5 yards here.
Last year's game over at the old Don Stadium, is that what we're calling it nowadays, Chris? They'll back Spanish Fork up 5. But when you take a look at it here, Chris, the game last year, there was a lot of penalties in that first quarter between these two. Salem Hills especially had a drive that was going pretty well and then just got stalled out via penalty.
And going back to that game last year, Spanish Fork was really –
so they're going to move it back here to the 30-yard line.
And last year, Salem Hills had to come back in the fourth quarter to beat Spanish Fork, and that's 2 years in a row Salem Hills has had to make the drive down the hill, I guess, to Spanish Fork's Don Stadium.
Tenny Worthen goes in motion. He gets the call on the sweep, cuts it back up. A nice gain from Tenny Worthen there as he's going to get about half of the yards to gain to get a first down, picks up about 7 or so.
Yeah, makes it a more manageable, about 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 here, 3rd and 6. And Tenny Worthen, we've seen him have a lot of success so far in the Dons passing and running game this season.
They'll mark the ball at the 38-yard line, so it's going to be a third down and roughly around 6 or so coming up, 6 maybe 7. Stevenson back to throw, setting up the screen pass, and that one incomplete. Out in front of Joshua Buck, but Buck was covered pretty well there by linebacker Garrett Holt, and that will bring up 4th down in a punting situation here for Spanish Fork.
And the only thing that was positive on that drive for Spanish Fork as they were able to pick up some yards there and possibly flip the field position. If their defense can get a 3-and-out, Spanish Fork should have a lot better field position than their first 2 drives of the game.
Austin Stevenson standing back at his own 26 to punt. Trayson Zobel, the junior, back at his own 24. Good punt from Stevenson. Zobel has to try to run it down. It takes a nice bounce and will go out of bounds roughly around the 22-yard line. We'll see where they mark it. And they're going to mark it, it looks like, out at the 21-yard line, where Salem Hills will start with 2:53 to go here in the opening quarter. Let's take a moment here on Spanish Fork 17. Let's thank our sponsors for making tonight's broadcast possible.
Yeah, we'd like to thank all of our sponsors for making this game and other games possible. We've got 2 Jack's Pizza, Clegg Auto Group, Driggs Mortgage Team, McKell Thompson Hunter, Attorneys at Law, Triple T Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, MVP Sports, and Lance Wilson State Farm Insurance. We'd like to thank those sponsors for making this game possible.
1st and 10 Skyhawks from their own 21-yard line as they will give it there to the back. That is Roper K, the sophomore, and I think that might have been an attempted flea flicker or something. It looked like Roper K was trying to turn back and pitch the ball back to DeGraffenried, but nonetheless, Spanish Fork was there and Roper K had nowhere to go.
He did not have anywhere to go, and I'd say the key in this game so far for Spanish Fork is they're really not giving any ground to Salem's line. They're being a lot more physical at the point of attack tonight and have been able to put a lot of pressure on DeGraffenried and especially on the short pass and run game here.
That's a loss of 6 on 1st down. DeGraffenried back to throw, setting up the screen pass. There's Roper K on the catch, but again, he's not going to get much. He may have gotten a yard, and you're still putting yourself in a 3rd and 15 right here, and that seems to be the Skyhawk game tonight, Chris. They've really liked that screen pass, but Spanish Fork has covered it, has gotten pressure on DeGraffenried.
Yeah, if you got a team that's blitzing a lot of guys and putting pressure, kind of the counter to that, if you're an offense, is short bubble screens, short passes to the edges, and your traditional screen pass, but Spanish Fork's dropped a couple of guys back in his zone and are making some great tackles.
3rd down and 15 coming up from the Skyhawk 16-yard line. DeGraffenried back to throw, rolls, pressure now starting to come from the backside. DeGraffenried fires out when it's tipped in and out of the hands of Darian Harrison, but right there was Jackson Iyer, number 88, who almost had a play on that, and that brings up 4th down. And Chris, here's what you talked about earlier coming into play. Now Spanish Fork's been able to flip the field, and they should be looking at pretty good field position following the punt here from Bruce Butler.
Yeah, and I think one thing that Spanish Fork's done is they've got 2 guys returning. They've got Olson, and then also they have Harrison, and that should try and prevent the ball from bouncing because Butler, like you mentioned, Ryan, has a great leg for Salem Hills.
Darian Harrison's at the top of your screen. Cade Olson more, I guess, kind of in the middle, but he's covering more the bottom part of your screen at home. High snap, they get it down. Butler, this is a low line drive kick. Harrison's going to catch it on the run about his own 48. Makes one man miss, gets inside the 40 before a host of Skyhawks are able to get there to make the tackle. But nonetheless, really good field position for Spanish Fork. They'll start on the plus side of the field here on their next possession. And this is the first time Spanish Fork's really been in a position, Chris, where you kind of think they might be able to strike here first.
Yeah, and I wonder if they might take a chance here since they're inside Salem's 40 going deep to Olson right here on 1st down and just trying to get this crowd into the game. There's quite a few people here at Dawn Stadium as I look across the stands. This place is about full, and Salem brought a decent amount of people as well.
Be first out at 10. Ball at the Skyhawk 38-yard line. Stevenson joined by Joshua Buck in the backfield. 4 wide receivers. Stevenson bobbles the snap, collects it, throws it to Cade Olson on the screen. Olson breaks 1 tackle, but then Garrett Holt was able to wrap him up, and there's a penalty flag that now has been thrown. And I think there might have been some extracurricular activities there, and the question's going to be whether it goes against the offense or the defense, and that's the kind of penalty there you didn't want to see if it goes against the Dons.
Yeah, and Spanish Fork put up decent amount of points last week against Springville. And so it's kind of surprising here to see how much they're struggling to move the ball. They put up 36 on Springville. They're going the wrong direction after the penalty.
So we'll see here. The officials might cutting out right there, but it's going to be a dead ball personal foul penalty against the Dons. Backs them up 15 yards right there. So it moves the Dons back to their own 43-yard line following the penalty. Makes it a second down and about 25 or so coming up. Give or take a couple of yards there.
It's a long ways to go.
The give, Joshua Buck on the carry. Nowhere to go for Buck as Salem Hills gets some good pressure in right there, and that's going to make it third down and extremely long.
Yeah, it's I think over 30 yards here to go for Spanish Fork. They got to get inside Salem Hills 28, pretty much 28-yard line there, and they're at their own 40. So
there's not a lot of play calls in the book for a third down and 31.
There's always one play. Hail Mary.
Go deep. Everybody run deep. Third down and 31. Ball on the Don 40-yard line. Stevenson rolling out, looking downfield. Throws kind of an intermediate route. It's going to be caught by Cade Olson. Olson's going to get a chunk back. Gets it to the Skyhawk 46-yard line. It's going to be about 15 yards short of the line to gain, but Spanish Fork able to get a chunk back, and now a chance with a punt that they can at least pin Salem Hills back deep.
Yeah, if you can get a punt inside the 10 here, that would be huge because we've seen Salem Hills offense struggle. Both offenses have really struggled, but there's a potential chance of maybe even coming up with the safety if you're able to pin Salem Hills deep here.
Austin Stevenson standing back at his own 41. Low snap, Stevenson able to get it off. A good pump from about his own 45. It's away from Zobel. It's going to take a roll in favor of the Dons, and it's going to roll out of bounds at around the 4-yard line. And I don't think you could have asked for a better punt there from Austin Stevenson.
Yeah, Stevenson's your quarterback, kicker, punter combination, and great job of getting that to roll out. Are they marking that down at the 3 or is that the 4? 3.5, 4-yard line there. And so, yeah, Salem Hills will have to go 96 yards to score, and they've really been unsuccessful here. And so I imagine we'll see Salem Hills maybe try and run it up the middle. We'll see if they still spread it here. I'm curious to see if they still go with that spread formation.
And you have to think, too, with the pressure Spanish Fork has gotten so far on Salem Hills, it limits the playbook here that the Skyhawks can really call as well. DeGraffenried back to throw, gets rid of it quickly. That one's going to be in and out of the hands of a Skyhawk receiver. And I believe that was 86 KG Latoa. Either him or Jackson Iyer.
Yeah, you shouldn't have two guys in the same area like Iyer and Latoa were that time. But great job by DeGraffenried avoiding the pressure and just allowing himself to get a pass out there. And if you hit your receiver in the hands, you hope they can hang on to it and you can get some positive yards. Instead, it's second down and sketchy from their 4.
Second and 10 from the 4 right here. This may be the last play of the first quarter. DeGraffenried back to throw, 3-step drop, and overthrows, it looks like, his attendant receiver, Zaylen Fenn. And that won't be the last play of the third quarter. We got 3 seconds on the clock. And so we'll bring up third down and 10 from the 4.
Yeah, Salem Hills started out with, I think, like 10 seconds to go, have been able to run 2 plays in 6 seconds, and that's because Spanish Fork is putting a lot of pressure on DeGraffenried. He's having to unload that ball in a hurry, and on that last play, he got knocked down and hit pretty hard.
It's been pretty much like 3-step drops and get the ball out type throws from what I'm seeing anyway from DeGraffenried here in the first quarter.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love an extra second or so to evaluate the situation, but he's having to get rid of it in a hurry.
DeGraffenried joined by Kay. Now there's going to be a whistles blow.
Looking to delay a game.
And that will back up, I believe, half a distance to the goal.
Yeah, 2-yard penalty there.
We'll see here. So right there, it is the delay game penalty, as Chris mentioned. They'll move the ball back. I think they asked to reset the game clock to 3 seconds as well.
So instead, they just turned off the entire clock.
DeGraff and Reed at quarterback. Back to throw. Now he's going to have to roll. He's going to have to try to get rid of it. Now he's just going to run. Cuts it up, delivers a good hit as he gets to about the 9-yard line, short of the first down, but that will end the first quarter. We've reached the end of one here from Spanish Fork. No score, the Dons and the Skyhawks at Spanish Fork Salem Hills here on Spanish Fork 17.
If you're looking for a workout, you know MVP Sports is the place to start, and that includes pickleball. MVP Sports has all you need to get active in this growing sport: paddles, shoes, clothing, and the pickleballs. MVP Sports in Spanish Fork.
The best time to check your furnace is before it fails, and you can rely on Triple T to do the job right. Our technicians are trained every year so you can sleep better at night, knowing your furnace is safe to operate. Call Triple T at 798-7711 to schedule your tune-up today.
Hey, I didn't order any pizza.
After you saved me so much dough on insurance with that Parker promo, I devised a promo for you.
State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
Right.
If you want the real deal, contact State Farm agent Lance Wilson today.
Start of the second quarter here on Spanish Fork 17. Ryan Pickens alongside Chris Hurst. No score between Salem Hills and Spanish Fork. As you see in the bottom corner of your picture right here, that is that we have that's a shot of the scoreboard. So that's what you're seeing right now. So they're using some of the feed here from the game that we're shooting and putting that up on the scoreboard. So you see it right there. You see those two yellow lines. Those are the goalposts. So with that, is each scoreboard's kind of different. So the technology to try to connect each individual scoreboard to our score graphics can change, and still kind of working out some of the back-end processing stuff to be able to get a good graphic for you. As Butler's going to punt this one away. He's pressured well. Gets a pretty good kick right to Darian Harrison, who's brought down at about the 36-yard line. A good open field tackle by Jed Hughes. But now Spanish Fork for the second time tonight, Chris. Really good field position. Last time, a big costly penalty really cost the Dons, but now they have an opportunity to redeem themselves.
They do, and Salem Hills is fortunate it's not 2-0 for Spanish Fork here, because I don't know how Butler did not touch that end line. He needs to talk to the deep snapper and say, hey, guys, stop trying to snap it over my head. But anyways, great job by him. But Spanish Fork's in business inside the 40. We'll see if they go a little more conservative here, because that last possession, they went backwards in a hurry.
Austin Stevenson at quarterback is going to give it. He's going to keep it right up the middle. Stevenson's going to get a few yards or so. Runs into the linebacking core for the Salem Hills Skyhawks, as it was Vanden Fusselman and Clay Lyman getting there.
Yeah, great job. Salem Hills sold out for the end man, and Stevenson makes the right call there and hangs onto it up the middle.
Gain of 4 for Stevenson. They'll kind of go back to the same thing, straight up the middle with Stevenson. He gets a couple of more down to about the 30. And it's going to bring up a 3rd and short. And one thing, Chris, Stevenson, a really good leg himself. So Spanish Fork getting into that range where they're not necessarily out of not being able to kick a field goal.
Yeah, they're not. And, with your kicker and punter also being your quarterback, I mean, you can probably throw in a couple of more fakes from about this side of the field.
It's going to be 3rd down and 3 from the 30. The big package coming in here for Spanish Fork. Joshua Buck straight up the middle, looking for the first down. He's going to be about a yard short. Salem Hills did a nice job. Cole Hanks, the junior defensive lineman, one of the first ones there to be able to slow up Joshua Buck. And now it's going to be 4th down and about a yard, and it appears, Chris, the Dons are going to roll the dice and go.
might as well. Both defenses are playing well. This is probably a little bit on the edge of Stevenson's range, and also you probably can trust that your defense will hold up here because they have been all night. Both defenses are playing fantastic football.
Spanish Fork goes quickly to the line. We'll see if it's a quarterback sneak. Rupena goes in motion. They give it to Tayson Reed up the middle. First down and more. Reed is gone. Touchdown, Tayson Reed. Dons lead 6-0.
A great run by Reed up the middle. Great blocking by the line. Rupena at the fullback position. And they bring in a couple of big fullbacks that time for Reed, and they're able to run that power game right up Salem Hills. And Salem Hills was selling out with not a safety deep to try and stop that run.
A 6-0 lead for Spanish Fork, so rolling the dice and going for it on 4th and short pays dividends for the Dons. And now Austin Stevenson will come on for the point after touchdown try. Snap is high, they get it down. The kick is going to be through the uprights and good for Austin Stevenson. And it's a 7-0 lead for Spanish Fork with 9:54 to go here in the second quarter. A nice drive there, capped off by the touchdown.
Yeah, a great possession that time as Spanish Fork got the ball in great field position set up by their defense that time. And so they just line up with a bunch of guys in the backfield that are big and can block, and they blew a giant hole for Tayson Reed, and we've seen why he's one of the top prep athletes in the state. Really anchors the defense from the linebacker spot, but when they need a big run, him or Jason or Buck's available.
Couple of scores to pass along in those key Region 9 games. Wasatch leading Maple Mountain 7-3, and then Springville leading Provo 3-0. Those are the two other key Region 9 games here tonight going on throughout the area.
Region 9, 1, 2, 3 in the RPI with Springville, Spanish Fork, and Payson. So 1 versus 3 tonight. That's a huge win. I imagine who wins that game will still be number 1 in the RPI next week.
Kickoff from Stevenson sends Gamble back into the end zone, and he will take it in for a touchback. Gamel. It'll be first down and 10 for Salem Hills, and right now, Chris, the Skyhawks are trying to find some kind of an offense. They just haven't been able to find any kind of rhythm because of the amount of pressure Spanish Fork's been getting.
Yeah, and you can tell Salem Hills wanted to come in here and throw the ball, but DeGraff and Reed is not getting any time. Now, he hasn't done anything that's been a game changer by throwing any errant passes, but his offensive line needs to be able to hold for another second or two to allow him to go through his progression.
Kobe Carter, the deep back here on 1st and 10 for the Skyhawks. They'll pull it, and now DeGraff and Reed looks to throw over the middle, looking for Fenn. It's caught at the 47. Fenn inside the 40, breaks a tackle, and he's brought down at the 28. There's a penalty flag back at the 20 that may pull back this big play from Salem Hills, and that's just the kind of play the Skyhawks needed, Chris.
Yeah, we'll have to see what this is. It's also in the area of maybe a late hit on Spanish Fork, but I see everybody from Salem walking back, so I assume it's a hold. We'll try and get the call for you here, and so it's coming back, and that has been the only positive play that Salem's really had on offense. Well, they've had a couple of other plays that led to a first down, but that's really been their only big play.
Zaylin Fenn, by the way, kind of came off the field shaken up a little bit after that last play. So that is something to keep an eye on as well. That's not an injury, really.
Sorry, Ryan.
No, you're good. Sorry, Chris. I got looking at Fenn, who's being looked at by the trainer for Salem Hills. I didn't notice the official was calling it, was making the call. Nonetheless, a penalty against the Skyhawks backs him up 10, and it's going to be 1st and 20 from their own 10.
We got another flag that was just thrown. I think that's going to be on Salem Hills' sideline.
That may just be a sideline warning. We'll see here, and it will be a sideline warning. So they'll get one warning, and then the second time, that's when the penalty gets added.
And that's just got to be a heartbreaker for Salem Hills because they have really struggled. But credit Spanish Fork's defense for bringing a lot of pressure and having solid tackling in the secondary.
DeGraff and Reed back to throw. Pressured, gets hit as he delivers a pass that is caught across the 20. And that is complete to number 86. That is K.G. Latoa, the junior.
Yeah, Latoa was met in a hurry by Harrison, but great job by DeGraff and Reed. He's standing in his own end zone. You got to be an anxious moment, but he's able to stand in there tall and throw a bullet across the field.
Sorry, that is K.G. Leota on the catch. It's going to bring up second down, about 7. 8:51 to go before halftime here at Spanish Fork. Lights getting ready to take starting to take more closer to full effect. The full moon coming out, or pretty close to a full moon here on a Friday night. DeGraff and Reed drops back, sets up the screen pass, gets it out to Kobe Carter, who makes one man miss, but enough of an open field tackle to bring Carter down short of the yard to gain. It's going to be third and a couple of yards right there, and that was a good open field tackle by Spanish Fork, but really the Dons got lucky there to be able to bring Carter down.
Yeah, and DeGraff and Reed went really fast that time before throwing it to Carter there on the short pass, so imagine we'll see more pressure from Spanish Fork. They're almost exclusively blitzing, so one thing Salem Hills might be able to do is run a screen pass up the middle to the running back here.
So you see some graphics up on the video board, like the one that just shown. That's done here by the stadium. That is not a graphic produced here by SFCN. And that one's going to be complete. That's going to be enough for a first down. Ball comes loose, and I think Spanish Fork was right there to fall on it. Nope, it's going to be with Salem Hills.
Yeah, Kobe Carter that time picking up the loose ball on the ground here. I didn't see who made the catch, but that was a fantastic hit. I think that was Harrison. It was 24 that time. Harrison with the first hit and then cleaned up by Tregesser.
Be first and 10 coming up here for Salem Hills. Skyhawks, a couple of first downs here on the drive. DeGraff and Reed drops back, looking to throw. There's a throw out into the flat that goes incomplete. Thrown behind Leota, number 86, the intended receiver.
Yeah, K.G. Leota that time unable to catch the ball behind his back, but DeGraff and Reed is having to get rid of that ball in a hurry, and I think he's starting to get a clock in his head here so he can avoid the sack.
You have to think at some point, Chris, they're going to have to find a way to get DeGraff and Reed to be able to throw down the field.
Yeah, they have, and I think the only way they'll be able to do that is when he rolls out a little bit.
DeGraff and Reed back to throw with some time. A good completion there to the 40-yard line. Incomplete, they're going to say, as, again, it was Leota who made the catch, and then on the hit, he couldn't hold on. That brings up a third and long.
Yeah. I think that was going to be the old hook and lateral that time, as Leota had a guy down on the near side that was going to loop around, but he couldn't even make the initial catch. He was hit so fast. We saw Maple Mountain have quite the hook and lateral in the fourth quarter last week as they were driving on, and we'll see if the Dons can hold here as we see in the background. Sorry, Ryan, that was a graphic. You didn't get my reference.
I was looking straight at the field there. Our official was coming out to midfield, kind of like he was going to make some kind of an announcement, but I think they may have been wanting to adjust something with the clock or something.
That's the one thing about having he probably said move it to 7:08, and we didn't turn up our mic on him, but that's the one nice thing about having a mic on your official is they can adjust the clock a lot faster than a non-mic'd official.
Third down and 10 for the Skyhawks, and somebody jumped, and both teams pointing both ways right there. We'll see who's going to be the guilty party, and I think
they're pointing Spanish Fork's way.
It's going to be against the Dons. They're going to say encroachment there. And that will be a 5-yard penalty. 3rd down and 5 coming up here for Salem Hills. 7:08 to play before halftime. Coming up at the half, we'll have the halftime show here from Spanish Fork High School here on Homecoming.
On that last offsides, that's interesting because I saw like 4 Dons move and 1 Skyhawk move. Usually when that happens, it's on the offense as an illegal procedure.
3rd and 5 to Graffenried. Drops back, looking to throw. Rolls away, now being pressured to Graffenried, brought down from behind. Right there, well short of the yard to gain, and now bring a 4th down and a punt.
Yeah, great job by Shepard coming around the edge here and tracking down to Graffenried, who tries to get away, but Shepard's just a little bit too fast that time as he makes a great tackle. So
it'll be 4th down and a punting situation here for Salem Hills. 7-0 lead for the Dons on top of the Salem Hills Skyhawks.
And we'll have to see if Spanish Fork can capitalize on the momentum they got. They were able to get a 29-yard touchdown run on the last drive.
Butler boots it away from the 30. Cade Olson thought about, I think, fielding that on a couple of hops, but it will roll inside the 10 down to the 6-yard line. A nice job and a great punt there from Bruce Butler.
And Butler's been the MVP of this Skyhawks team. He's had some high snaps that he's had to bring down almost on the end of the end zone there, and he's had some excellent punts when the snap is to him. Also, he's probably had like 5 punts so far tonight as well. So a lot of defense tonight, as both teams have really not had long, sustained drives, and so we've had quite the punting contest. So if you like punts, stick with us here on SF17.
6:14 to go before halftime. Spanish Fork with all 3 of their timeouts. And if there's a time you'd like a drive to score and use some clock, the Dons would probably like to use that right here. Spanish Fork does get the football to start the 3rd quarter. Stevenson sends a man in motion. And they'll give it to Joshua. Stevenson keeps it up the middle, gets away, spins out, breaks a tackle. Has the 15, 20, 25 before he's ushered out of bounds, and a penalty flag comes in at the end, and that's likely going to add about 15. Easton Cook, the defensive end, was chasing him down, and he just might have made some contact as they went out of bounds.
Yeah, we'll get that call for you, but it looked like Rolf that was 50 that had him right in his arms and just did not follow through on the tackle, and that's Graham Barney for Salem Hills that time, just unable to complete the play. We'll see if this adds another 15 yards.
So it is going to be a personal foul there. You saw it on the instant replay there. It wasn't really too much of a hit, but it was just well out of bounds, that extra contact there that you really can't get away with anymore, especially on the quarterback.
A lot of emphasis on protecting the players.
Straight up the middle, not much there on 1st down. In fact, Salem Hill's going to push the Dons back a yard or 2 as Joshua Buck got the carry there. Brings up a 2nd and about 12.
2nd and 12. And the one thing I've noticed about Stevenson is he seems a little more confident this week than our first week at keeping that ball and making some plays with his leg, where he seemed a little shaky the first time we saw him in just trying to fill the game out, but he looks like he's got a lot more confidence this week.
5:31 to play here in the 2nd quarter. 7-0 Spanish Fork. Stevenson back to throw with some time. Takes a shot down the field looking for, I believe, Tenny Worthen, number 8. That one goes incomplete. Simon Bigler, the senior, on the coverage, and that brings up 3rd down and 12 from the Dons 40.
3rd and 12 here. And the one thing that we haven't seen from Spanish Fork on this drive is they had a huge run that last drive by 28 Tayson Reed. We haven't seen him touch the ball at all on this drive. And also, Salem Hills has done a great job of keeping Cade Olson under control, who's the big-time receiver here for Spanish Fork. We'll see if they can't get him the ball as he's lining up on the near side of the field here.
Wasatch has taken a 14-3 lead on Maple Mountain. Springville has a 6-0 lead on Provo. Stevenson tries to keep it. There's a penalty flag that came in. Easton Cook there, but I think this is going to be most likely a face mask. And this is going to be, if that is, that's going to be a 15-yard penalty.
I think we're going to have offsetting penalties. I think there was a hold on kind of the left tackle, a Spanish Fork, and then I think we had a face mask. But we'll have to see how they sort this out. We might just replay the down.
So you have a personal foul face mask against Salem Hills, illegal shift against Spanish Fork. Offset will replay 3rd down and 12. Coming up here with 5:14 to play here in the first half.
So one is a 5-yard penalty and one's a 15-yard, but every level I think those penalties offset. You'd kind of think, hey, if one's a major penalty, we'll call it because it's 15 yards versus 5. Shouldn't we replay the down with the 10-yard advantage? I don't know. Just something to think about. Obviously, we'll just replay it, but I've always kind of wondered that.
It's definitely a good point that you bring up, because when you take a look at it right there, you're kind of seeing the big penalty there. If your Spanish Fork would have at least made it, at that point, it would have been 3rd and short, and you at least get some kind of advantage. Let's take a moment here on Spanish Fork 17. Let's thank our sponsors for making tonight's broadcast possible. We want to thank Lance Wilson, State Farm Insurance, MVP Sports, Triple T Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, Two Jacks Pizza, the Clegg Auto Group, the Driggs Mortgage Team, and Mikkel Thompson and Hunter Attorneys at Law. We thank them for making each and every broadcast possible here on Spanish Fork 17. Next Friday night, we get to see the Salem Hills Skyhawks, Chris, 2 weeks in a row. Next week, the Skyhawks are over at Maple Mountain taking on the Golden Eagles, and that could be a key game in the RPI between these two teams.
Yeah, only 24 teams make the playoffs. Salem Hills is at 22. Maple Mountain's at 30. My guess is somebody's going to get left out of the dance this year.
So it's 3rd and 12, a passing situation for the Dons. And a high snap over the head of Austin Stevenson. He'll fall on it back at his own 22-yard line. And now definitely a punting situation for Spanish Fork, and probably the first what you would call miscue of the game for Spanish Fork.
Yeah, and something you don't think about often is the center to quarterback exchange, right? You just take it for granted, but that's something that's key to every play, setting it up right. And that time the snap is over the head of Stevenson, and that'll force a huge loss, and Salem's going to end up with pretty good field position as a result.
Stevenson will stay in the game. He'll punt, standing at his own 11. They get the punt off. Stevenson, this is a high kick. It's going to be a little bit shorter than normal kick. Fair caught right there by Court Stewart right at the 50. So with 4:27 to go here before halftime, Salem Hills with their best field position of the night. But the biggest question right now on that Skyhawk sideline, Chris, is what can they do to try to jumpstart the offense?
I think what they need to do is they need to have some designed rollouts for DeGraff and Reed, buy him a little bit more time, and have a couple guys probably do various outs and kind of maybe a flag to that side, and just give him a couple guys to throw to as he rolls out, because he's standing in the pocket. He's not getting enough time to be very successful.
DeGraff and Reed and Kobe Carter in the backfield. DeGraff and Reed, 3-step drop, completes that one down the sideline. That's going to be good enough for a few yards out there to Trayson Zobel. But that's going to bring up a 2nd and 1.
2nd and 1, pretty good protection that time, and a great pass out to Zobel, who's able to get near a 1st down here. Plenty of time, over 4 minutes to go in the half, so Salem Hills can definitely take their time. And I'm guessing they're going to try and milk as much of this as they can.
One thing to keep in mind, the Dons get the football to start the 3rd quarter, so the last thing Salem Hills would want to do is give up a touchdown before the half and give the Dons the football to start the 3rd. DeGraff and Reed looking to throw, and that one's intercepted, picked off. Right there, getting there, number 24 for Spanish Fork. That is Joey Traxer there. The senior makes the big INT.
Yeah, and really just throwing off his back foot that time. DeGraff and Reed throws it short. He's got number 8, Fenn, if he's able to get that out a little bit in between the corner and the safety that time. Instead, he underthrows it. And that's been a problem Salem Hills has had this entire season's INTs.
So 3:46 to play before halftime. Spanish Fork now with the football and the opportunity to potentially add points here before the half. Traeger there with the Mikkel Thompson and Hunter attorneys at law. Great defensive play. Giving the ball back to the offense right here. Going in motion, back to throw. Stevenson has a man, but that one goes incomplete down the seam, trying to get it there to Tenny Worthen.
Yeah, and Worthen was wide open. Is that Gunter or Worthen? 8? Oh, that's an 8. So he had his guy that time running a straight 9 or whatever you want to call it there that time, and just overthrows it. But credit Salem Hills, they've done a pretty good job of putting pressure on Stevenson themselves. Both defensive lines are really owning the offensive lines tonight at the point of attack.
If you like defense, this is the game for you.
I don't, so we'll see if we can't get some offense going.
2nd and 10. Back to throw. There's the bubble screen. Gets it to Cade Olson. And Olson there gets a few yards, but not much right there.
Yeah. Kobe Carter comes up with a huge tackle. As that play looked like it was going to go for a long ways, but Carter did good to come from his cornerback position and stay with Olson.
It's going to be 3rd down and about 8.5 or so coming up right here.
The one thing you don't want to do if you're Stevenson is in this situation is force something. Your defense has been playing well. Not the worst thing in the world is to punt in this situation.
7-0 Dons lead it right here. Looking for a first down. Stevenson pressured, sets up the screen pass, and that one goes incomplete. As coming away with it, Zaylin Fenn almost, I think, came up with an interception, but they're going to say it hit the ground. It'll be 4th down in a punting situation here with 2:52 to play before halftime.
And Salem Hills will have another crack at it as Spanish Fork took about a minute off the clock here on that drive, so Salem Hills will get good field position once again. See if they can't tie this up going into the half.
Trayson Zobel and Court Stewart back deep to receive for the Skyhawks. Stevenson puts a good foot into it. Zobel going to try to return this one from his own 38. Makes a cut, makes a couple of men miss before being brought down right around the 47-yard line or so. And that will be good field position with 2:41 to play before halftime. Plenty of time for Salem Hills. They have all 3 timeouts to work with. But the biggest thing right here is they just have to try to find some kind of offensive consistency.
Yeah, they do, and they've really struggled to move the ball in chunks. They'll pick up a first down here or there, but outside of that, they have not had a sustained drive. For Salem Hills, they got to avoid turnovers. They've had the one turnover in the game, so and really haven't established a run game at all. So Spanish Fork's been able to pin back their ears and blitz.
Wasatch has added a touchdown against Maple Mountain. It's now 21-3 Wasps on top of the Golden Eagles. Right up the middle there with a run. I believe that was Kobe Carter, or that wasn't Carter, sorry, that was Roper K, the sophomore, gets about 4 or 5.
A rare run that time by Salem Hills, but it caught Spanish Fork a little bit off guard, and Spanish Fork's dropping a few more guys back.
2nd down and about 6. DeGraff and Reed back to throw. Pressure comes, steps up, now rolls away. DeGraff and Reed's going to run. He's going to have the first down. He's out of bounds right around the 40-yard line or so. A good pickup there for Luke de Graffenried, and that might have been the first time, Chris, he's had really decent time to throw, and he was still under pressure.
He was under a lot of pressure on a 3-man blitz that time from Spanish Fork, and Dylan Thomas almost had a sack that time. Instead, de Graffenried does a Houdini, escapes out, and gets a big run.
Stops the clock. Might be one of the most important things people noticed there on that run. 2:08 to play here in the second quarter. 7-0 Dons on top of Salem Hills. Back to throw. They incomplete the pass there to Zobel. That one just thrown short. Zobel, I think, may have slipped a little bit coming out of the cut as well, but it'll bring up a 2nd and 10.
Yeah, that ball hit the ground a good 3 yards in front of Zobel, so I don't think the slip had anything to do with it. But at the end of the day, really, Spanish Fork's defense has been rock solid thus far. We'll have to see what they do here. And I think they do a better job of keeping Spanish Fork does a better job of keeping de Graffenried in the pocket when they blitz. So we'll see if they bring a few more than 3.
2nd and 10 right here. De Graffenried, pressure coming from the backside. He'll throw, has a man out there in and out of the hands of Trayson Zobel, and that will bring up 3rd and long.
Zobel was a little bit open that time. It hit him in the hands, just unable to come up with it. As I think that's, as Ryan mentioned, we got the graphics that are going on. Those aren't ours. 7-0 ball game here.
So right here, minute 59 to play, second quarter. 3rd and 10, Skyhawks right here. Salem Hills, the white tops, powder blue pants. Dons in the all gray. 3rd down and 10, ball on the 40-yard line. De Graffenried under immediate pressure, steps away, almost gets hit, throws that one incomplete, and that's going to bring up 4th down.
It looked like that was intentional grounding. There is no outside of the pocket here. I didn't see any receiver in the area, and de Graffenried got lucky because usually you don't try and throw it back across the middle.
There's a penalty flag back onto the far side around the 47.
Oh, looks like they might have gotten that because I didn't see anybody in there.
It's dangerous because if you throw back over the middle, it's easy for the defense there to potentially get an INT or something. So it will be intentional grounding against de Graffenried, and that will back them up. Now it'll be a loss of down. It'll be 4th down, a punting situation from the Skyhawk 43-yard line.
And I kind of like the rule where you can't just throw it past the line of scrimmage and it's negated as long as you're out of the pocket. It kind of negates some of the work the defense does.
Good punt, Darian Harrison from the 20, and they're going to say, I think he called fair catch. And there's a penalty flag that comes in right there, and I don't think they're...
So Kate Olson calls the fair catch. Harrison catches it. I'm pretty sure that if the other guy calls a fair catch, it's kind of... I don't know what the rule is. That's something we can look up at halftime, but that's an interesting call there.
It is a penalty, though, against the Dons if they call fair catch and then run with it afterwards. But we'll have to wait and see here.
We saw that last week where Maple Mountain's up man calls fair catch on an onside kick, catches it, and then decides to take off.
Delay of game. So they called delay of game against Spanish Fork, and that will back the Dons up 5 yards to start the drive with 1:49 to play here in the first half.
And that was Olson that initiated the fair catch, but I imagine they, in the spirit of the rule, if you got a guy calling fair catch and the other guy catches it next to him, that it's pretty much sent a signal to the defense that you guys have given up.
1st and 10. They'll pitch it outside. Joshua Buck across the 20, 25, 30, and he's going to get pushed out of bounds. He's going to get a nice gain, though, for Spanish Fork, out across the 30 to right around the 36-yard line.
Yeah, a huge play that time as they just run everybody wide there, and Buck with a huge pickup there, and that was wide open. Salem Hills, you could tell, was expecting the run up the middle that time.
Now the Dons will spread the field. 5 wide receivers down to a minute and a half. Stevenson on the straight quarterback draw gets back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, great job by that defensive line that time. It looks like 99 Easton Cook was kind of the leader on that gain tackle by Salem Hills, and it's nice to see somebody wear 99 at the high school level. Usually we don't get into those digits, double digits starting with a 9.
2nd down and 10 coming up. Stevenson back to throw with some time. Going down the sideline looking for Buck, and that one goes incomplete. A penalty flag, though, comes in right there. There's some hand fighting going on there, but Spanish Fork may have gotten at least 10 on the play.
It looks like they'll get a pass interference here, probably 15 yards, maybe 10 on the hold. We'll have to see what the call is, but Salem Hills is starting to self-destruct a little bit with some ill-advised penalties.
So we'll see. We'll get the call here for you. 55 seconds to play here in the half.
Yeah, there's nothing that loses a ball game faster than turnovers and penalties, and Salem Hills has had a lot of that going on in this second quarter. Oh, looks like it's on Spanish Fork.
So they're going to back the Dons up for pass interference.
And I know we're homers here, Ryan, but it looked like from up here that it was probably defensive pass interference. Now, we're up here in the booth. They're down on the field, so maybe there's something they saw on the other side of that hand play, but there was nothing. It was either a no call or defensive pass interference from my vantage point.
So the Dons now backed up with 55 seconds to play. It's a 2nd down and 25 from their own 21.
It's a lot longer than that.
Back to, here's the pitch outside. Buck will get out of bounds right around the 22.
No, Salem Hills looks like they'll use they'll keep the clock running here. I was wondering if Salem was going to use a timeout.
Have to wonder at this point if Spanish Fork, I don't know if how aggressive you want to get at this point late in the half. If you should, maybe if the Dons will most likely just be content with taking the lead into the halftime locker room.
Yeah, and if Spanish Fork doesn't pick this up, I'm making them punt. They can run it down to about 11 seconds, and then if the play takes a few seconds, this could be it unless Salem uses a timeout.
Stevenson will give it there on the carry, and that is going to be Joshua Buck. Not much going on. The Skyhawks do not look like initially, and they will not use a timeout. We will head to halftime here in Spanish Fork. It's a 7-0 lead. Tayson Reed with a touchdown run, the difference of the ball game. 7-0 Dons at the half here on Spanish Fork 17.
Nobody plans on getting in an accident, but if you do, you can rely on the expertise of Mike McKell to protect and fight for your rights. Specializing in personal injury law, Mike McKell is the attorney you need. Call McKell, Thompson, and Hunter, 801-798-9000.
Hi, welcome to Two Jack's Pizza.
For the best pizza you'll ever taste and our world-famous cheese sticks, come to Two Jack's Pizza on Main Street in Spanish Fork, or call us for a quick delivery. Are you hungry yet?
I definitely recommend the Driggs team. They're amazing.
Hi, I'm Greg with the Driggs Mortgage Team, where we believe there's no substitute for experience. Stop by our office today on Main Street and let us help you get into your brand new home.
At Clegg Auto Body, we pay attention to all the finer details, the small things. You know, a lot of people feel like they want their car quick and fast, but it takes time to get perfection. We work for the customer.
Give it up for your high school marching band. Fans, this is our homecoming game, and we'd like now to introduce to you our Spanish Fork High School homecoming royalty. First, we have Zach Dart. His parents are Allie and Kyle Dart, and he will be playing baseball and going to school at BYU. Ari Wapcott, and her parents are named Chet and Lisa Wapcott. She plans to get her generals in Utah and then go to the East Coast to major in musical theater performance and perform professionally. Next, we have Max Murray. His parents are Justin and Lacey Murray. After high school, he plans on serving an LDS mission and then finish up flight school to pursue his dream of becoming a pilot. Haley Campbell, with her parents Ben and Heather Campbell. She plans to finish her associates this summer after she graduates, and then plans to serve a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the following fall. And now, your homecoming king and queen. Your king is Austin Stevenson. With his parents, Lauren and Brady Stevenson, Austin is a quarterback of this year's high school football team. He's planning on going on a mission, then he wants to play college football as a kicker and study criminal law at BYU. And your queen, Miriam Pendleton. Parents Rebecca Pendleton and Bjorn Pendleton. She plans on going to UVU to study graphic design and later possibly serve a mission as a Nauvoo performing missionary. Please give it up to your 2021 homecoming royalty. Please welcome to the field your 2021-2022 Las Chulitas drill team. Tonight they are performing their competition hip-hop routine. Their captains are Haley Campbell, Katie Crowder, Allie Smith, Delaney Smith, Kaden Steelson, and Lillian Buka. They are coached by Rachel Shaw, Tony Holmes, Avery Higginson, and Sarah Schmidt. They want to say thank you to all the previous Las Chulitas who have paved the way with an amazing legacy for this program. Give it up for your Las Chulitas. your hands together for the reason we came out to tonight's game. Your 2021 Las Enchiladas. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight our cheerleaders have prepared a special performance for you. As you will notice, they are wearing uniforms borrowed from Spanish folk alumni. To complement their retro look, they will be dancing to some real-life favorite tunes. Their routine is choreographed by head cheerleader Lisa Gordon, junior captain Mandy Shepard, and head coach Holly Hunter. Let's put our hands together and welcome to the field our Spanish Fork High School cheer team. ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it for our Spanish Fork High School Dance Company.
But you gotta write better than this Tesla.
Let's hear it for your Spanish Fork Dance Company. And now, turn your attention to the video board in the south end zone. Fans, we have 20+ seniors on our team this year. Video is in honor of our seniors.
Hi, welcome to Two Jack's Pizza.
For the best pizza you'll ever taste and our world-famous cheese sticks, come to Two Jack's Pizza on Main Street in Spanish Fork or call us for a quick delivery. Are you hungry yet?
I definitely recommend the Driggs team. They're amazing.
Hi, I'm Greg with the Driggs Mortgage Team, where we believe there's no substitute for experience. Stop by our office today on Main Street and let us help you get into your brand new home.
If you're looking for a workout, you know MVP Sports is the place to start, and that includes pickleball. MVP Sports has all you need to get active in this growing sport. Paddles, shoes, clothing, and the pickleballs. MVP Sports in Spanish Fork.
The best time to check your furnace is before it fails, and you can rely on Triple T to do the job right. Our technicians are trained every year so you can sleep better at night, knowing your furnace is safe to operate. Call Triple T at 798-7711 to schedule your tune-up today.
At Clegg Auto Body, we pay attention to all the finer details, the small things. You know, a lot of people feel like they want their car quick and fast, but it takes time to get perfection. We work for the customer.
Nobody plans on getting in an accident, but if you do, you can rely on the expertise of Mike McKell to protect and fight for your rights. Specializing in personal injury law, Mike McKell is the attorney you need. Call McKell, Thompson & Hunter, 801-798-9000.
Hey, I didn't order any pizza.
After you saved me so much dough on insurance with that Parker promo, I devised a promo for you.
State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
Right.
If you want the real deal, contact State Farm agent Lance Wilson today.
High school football here on Spanish Fork 17. We're at the half, a 7-0 lead for Spanish Fork on top of Salem Hills. Ryan Pickens alongside Chris Hurst. And Chris, we had an interesting first half. We don't see typically too much at the high school level anyway of a 7-0 game, a defensive battle, the punters both punting well and really pinning both teams back. And really Spanish Fork made the one explosion play happen that really gave the Dons a 7-0 lead.
Yeah, big-time defensive struggle tonight. You hit the nail on the head there, Ryan. And I think both defensive lines and linebacker crews have really done a great job of pressuring and disrupting both offenses. So we'll have to see if we can get a little bit more offense and really credit the secondaries as well. There hasn't been very many big pass plays, and usually we see that at this juncture in a game as well. But Spanish Fork hung up a bunch of points on Springville last week as they beat the number 1 ranked team in the RPI in the state, but so far only put up 7.
I think one thing I'm interested to see here with the second half, Chris, is this is really going to test the conditioning and things like that of both teams, because this is a big physical game in the trenches. And you have to think at some point that's going to really play a big difference, and that field position and the time of possession really is going to be interesting to see what happens in the third quarter.
Yeah, Spanish Fork gets the ball. Maybe they try and line up with a couple of those big fullbacks in there. That's the one play that went for 29 yards and a Tayson Reed touchdown. Maybe they get a couple of big guys and see if they can't wear down this Salem Hills team. Sometimes you can run to open up the pass game a little bit later, but really Spanish Fork's defense has been rock solid tonight, has not allowed, outside of a couple of plays, a very big, very much yardage. Salem Hills had one giant pass play, went for 30, 40 yards and was negated by a holding call. So really some self-destruction on Salem Hills, the only chance they got rolling.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Let's take a look at our Triple T heating, cooling, and plumbing keys to the game here, Chris, and kind of recap them here so far for the first half.
Yeah, so Spanish Fork to avoid the big win letdown. I don't know if they've came out with the same amount of passion and energy they did last week at Springville, but they seem a little flat, so I think they need to amp it up a little bit there. Get the ball in playmakers' hands. We saw the one run by Tayson Reed. I think you need to get the ball in his hands. Buck, Olson, Gunter, some of those other guys here in the second half, and then create some INTs. Well, they're halfway there. They've created one INT. I think that if Salem Hills presses a little bit, DeGraff Reed has had some errant passes this year. He's in double digits in INTs, and so I think Spanish Fork still needs to work on getting that pressure on him and forcing some errant throws.
You know, it'll be interesting to see here as we get ready to start the second half. Thanks for spending your Friday night with us here on Spanish Fork 17 and also on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Spanish Fork 17. We're set and ready to go to start quarter number 3. 12 minutes on the clock. Salem Hills will kick it away, and back deep for Spanish Fork, number 11, Darian Harrison. And number 3, I believe, Kate Olson will drop back as well, I would believe, here for Spanish Fork. And we'll have to see, because, Chris, right now, this is one play. You know, a touchdown, whoever scores next really could change the momentum of this game, especially if it's Spanish Fork, because with the way the Salem Hills offense has been playing so far, you don't want to get down by too many points tonight if you're the Skyhawks.
Yeah, and Salem's just looking for any way to manufacture some points tonight, as they haven't even came close to getting to the end zone.
Darian Harrison will return it from about the 3-yard line. He's across the 15 to the 20, drags a couple of defenders with him to about the 27-yard line, and we'll see the Spanish Fork offense here and what they do. But a nice return here from Darian Harrison.
And Harrison, we've seen him on a decent punt return earlier in this ball game and making a bunch of plays on the defensive side of things as well. He's having himself a pretty good ball game.
So we'll see here what Spanish Fork does coming out here to start the third quarter. The opening drive of the third quarter, 7-0 lead for the Dons. Maple Mountain has added a touchdown. They're still trailing up at Wasatch 21-10. That one's starting to near halftime or so up in Heber. And we're gonna have penalty. We're gonna have whistles and most likely a penalty here on the opening play of the third quarter.
And another score is the Provo-Springville battle. Last time I checked at the half, it was 13-0 for the Ville over at Provo.
And I think that's what I just saw as well as scores update.
Of course, we're using the Des News here, and they have the Salem Hills up 7-0 on the scoreboard. So buyer beware.
The big game tonight in the state may be up in 6A. American Fork taking on Corner Canyon. The Chargers leading the Cavemen. Here's Joshua Buck on the carry. Buck spins, breaks a tackle across the 30, still on his feet to about the 35-yard line. A powerful run there from Joshua Buck. And, Chris, this is one thing to kind of see is if you can get that running game going, you can wear that defense out here in the third quarter.
A pretty good lead block by Rapena, but nice spin move there by Buck. And like you mentioned, if Spanish Fork can get some momentum on the ground here and start to wear out this Salem team, I think they'll be able to get some more momentum in this game.
2nd down and 3, ball on the 35-yard line for Spanish Fork. Joshua Buck in the backfield, joined by Stevenson. Rapena in as a blocking back, and they give it straight up the middle to Buck. He's going to have enough for a first down. Just across, got at about an extra yard or so than needed, and a first down for Spanish Fork.
Yeah, anytime you can move the chains here, give yourself another set of downs, you'll take it, and Spanish Fork's coming out fierce on the ground. And we saw that in the first half as well, and they were able to pick up one first down, and then Salem was able to stop them on the next set of downs.
10:38 to play, third quarter, 7-0 Dons on top of Salem Hills. Here's a give, straight up the middle. Joshua Buck falls ahead, gets about 3, maybe 4, depending on the spot. I think it will be closer to 3, but a good pickup there on first down for the Spanish Fork running back. And we've seen, Chris, kind of like you mentioned, Spanish Fork bringing in that extra blocker and really now starting to just go straight at Salem Hills.
Yeah, and I think that'll really kind of slow Salem's blitz down if they're a little tired from getting ran over a bit. But also what Spanish Fork's done is they've set themselves up for success with possibly a play-action pass.
And that's where Salem Hills has to be careful of where Cade Olson is. He's currently to the very top of your screen. And again, this is going to be Tayson Reed on the carry. He's going to have the first down to about midfield or so. Right there, a nice pickup there. They'll mark him down at the 49-yard line, but that's good enough for a Spanish Fork first down.
Yeah, great job here on the replay. They're showing this one in the stadium as well as Reed's able to get to the outside that time and pick up the first down.
So it'll be a first down for Spanish Fork, and you have to like this drive if you're Dustin Smith, because right here you're chewing up some clock, and in a one-score game like this, if you can't get the distance, Chris, that clock starts to become an extra defender almost if you're Salem Hills. Or sorry, if you're Spanish Fork, I mean. There's Stevenson on the slant route. That's complete, and that is Tenny Worthen. He's got a first down inside the 40-yard line.
Yeah, and that's probably set up by a lot of, hey, look, we're going to freeze you because we've been running a lot here, and so that allowed just enough time for the play-action pass. And right in rhythm that time by Stevenson does he hit, was it Worthen that time? Yeah, Worthen, right on that slant route.
1st and 10, Spanish Fork driving into Skyhawk territory. 8:54 to play here in the third quarter. Stevenson gives it straight up the middle. Tayson Reed bounces it outside to the 30, the 25, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Tayson Reed. And there's no penalty flags. It's 13-0 Dons.
A great run once again by Reed tonight. He goes 38.5 yards on the edge that time and breaks a couple of tackles there, uses that stiff arm as we see on the replay, and he'll get rewarded with 6 points, and the Dons out to a double-digit lead.
His second score of the night, Austin Stevenson on for the point-after touchdown try to try to make it 14-0 Spanish Fork. Snap good, hold good. The kick is good as well. And with 8:40 to play here in the third, the lights are flashing here at the stadium. The offense puts up 7, and now it's a 2-score game. And if you're Salem Hills, you have to start thinking, right, Chris, we need a score or something here to get some offensive momentum.
Yeah, and even if you don't get a score, you got to pick up consecutive first downs. Get that offense some confidence, because right now it's maybe we'll get a first down and then punt, or maybe we won't. We'll go 3 and out and punt. But Salem Hills has not had any sustained offense, and I guess that's probably a key to them having 0 points. But Spanish Fork's defensive linebackers are bringing guys from all over. They're twisting, they're stunning on those blitzes, and so we'll have to see if Salem Hills maybe brings in an extra blocker to see if they can't give DeGraffenried some extra time.
You have to say, though, you have to give a lot of credit to Spanish Fork. They have stuck to their game plan. The defense has made the plays they've needed to, and the offense has been able to find the end zone twice for a 14-0 lead. Austin Stevenson will get ready to kick it away for the Dons. And Stevenson kicks this one into the end zone. It will come out to the 20-yard line.
Yeah, Stevenson's automatic getting that thing about 2 to 3 yards deep in the end zone and not allowing a return. I think that's huge at the high school level, just to have a kicker that can kick it in there and you don't even have to worry about returning a return game.
This is one of those games, Chris, where anytime you kick off, you may not get a return in a lot of ways because both kickers have the ability to put it in the end zone every time.
I think we've had one return outside of that. Butler on his first kick was able to put it in the end zone as well.
So here comes Salem Hills. DeGraffenried in there, 2 backs in the backfield. I don't think we've seen a 2-back set all night for Salem Hills. DeGraffenried throws it out quickly. That one's bobbled and dropped. And that was Zobel again on the catch there.
Boy, and like Salem Hills, I think, is bringing an extra blocking back there. And that's a catch Zobel's got to make. When it hits you in the hands like that, you got to help your quarterback out and get some confidence going for the team here. But that ball when that ball leaves DeGraffenried's hands, that thing is zooming. He's got to maybe put a little touch on it too.
2nd down and 10 coming up right here. Back to throw, DeGraffenried over the middle. That's complete across the 20 to the 25. And that's a positive play there in the pass game for Zaylen Fenn.
Yeah, so it looks like Salem Hills is going to have about 7 guys block and limit that to just 3 receivers. And so far it's looking like it might help buy DeGraffenried a little bit more time.
So we'll see what happens here, a 3rd and short. And this is in that area right here. This is in that area, Chris, you talked about you need multiple first downs. This is a big play in a 3rd and 3 for Salem Hills. Back to throw, 3-step drop. That one's batted away, incomplete. As again, that was number 24. That was Joey Traegesser there, knocking that one down.
And Traegesser flew in to knock that pass down, as you mentioned there, and that's going to bring up another punting situation for Butler. And Salem Hills will get a first down on the...
It's going to be a roughing the quarterback call against Spanish Fork. I did not see the penalty flag.
Yeah, I missed that one as well, but that's a huge penalty there.
That extends the drive right here, and with 7:48 to go in the 3rd quarter, it's not just going to extend the drive, but it's also going to move the ball out to the 42-yard line. So now you're getting into a much better field position here for the Salem Hills Skyhawks. DeGraffenried. Easton Cook in the backfield with Kobe Carter. And DeGraffenried, pressure. Brenner Shepard got there from the other side for the 2 Jack's Pizza quarterback sack.
Yeah, and we've seen Shepard come off the edge a couple times tonight and get to the quarterback.
So right there, and that's going to bring up a 2nd and long. That's going to end up being almost a loss of I think that's going to be close to a 9-yard loss there on the quarterback sack. It's going to push the ball back to the 33. In fact, that's going to be a full 10-yard loss. So that's going to be a big play right there. It's going to bring up a 2nd down and 20.
Yeah, and Salem will have the ball at their own 33.
Skyhawks have to hurry. There's only 2 on the play clock. And Salem Hills, I don't think, got it off, or did they get a timeout? I think they may, and they did. Timeout Skyhawks, 6:53 to play here in the first half, or here in the third quarter. Let's take a moment here on Spanish Fork 17 to thank our sponsors for making tonight's broadcast possible.
Yeah, we've got the Two Jacks Pizza crew, Clegg's Auto, the Driggs Mortgage Team, Mikkel Thompson Hunter, attorneys at law, Lance Wilson State Farm Insurance, MVP Sports, and Triple T Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, making this broadcast possible. And also you can check us out on the Spanish Fork 17 YouTube channel, youtube.com there on the address. So if you're not at your home, go ahead and check us out there. And then next week, we'll see Salem Hills travel to Maple Mountain next Friday in what should be another exciting game here on Spanish Fork 17. We haven't had any blowouts this season. We've had some pretty competitive games.
We've had good games all year, which has been great for us. And the rest of the way, I think it's going to be pretty competitive all year, the rest of the way going. I mean, when you look at the games that we have, it should be fun the rest of the way. It's going to be 2nd and 20. Ball on the 33-yard line. Back to throw. DeGraff and Reed has a man, throws it into double coverage, almost intercepted as they were trying to get it out to Zobel again, and that's going to bring up 3rd down and 20.
Yeah, and Tregesser was almost had an INT there, and he's having a great ball game so far today.
DeGraff and Reed had thrown it earlier. He may have had Zaylen Fenn kind of down the seam there. Instead, he kind of threw that ball into dangerous double coverage, and it's 3rd down and 20, and now Salem Hills really in a position, Chris, where to really think about getting the 1st down, they're going to have to almost just throw it deep here and hope that they're able to make a big play.
And they're going 4 wide this time, sending guys out into the pattern.
Dons look like they're coming. DeGraff and Reed rolls away. Penalty flag comes in. The pass is thrown and batted away. And now bring up 4th down. We'll see what the penalty is going to be here in the area where generally you would see a hold.
Yeah, the only other thing I could think of is an illegal hands to the face. And I think that might be what it was, because
the reaction from Spanish Fork, we'll see here what.
It looks like it's a hold, and Spanish Fork's going to decline.
I don't know why they would push him back, but so it's going to be 4th down and 20. They'll punt, most likely. I shouldn't say they will punt, but most likely they will punt. I would doubt at this point they would want to give up good field position with the way that Bruce Butler, the senior, has punted. He's been able to pin Spanish Fork back pretty deep. Darian Harrison and Kate Olson back deep. Harrison to the top of your screen, Olson to the bottom. Butler standing on his own 19-yard line. Gets the punt away. Faced a little bit of pressure there, and Darian Harrison calls fair catch at his own 31-yard line. 6:36 to go in the third quarter. Good field position coming for the Dons. And Chris, you a lot of people would want to see kind of what Spanish Fork built off of on the last drive.
Yeah, I imagine we'll see a lot on the ground here, but you can set that up for the pass there. As we've seen Spanish Fork's offense really open up on that last drive. Their first touchdown, they had really good field position, and so we'll see if they can have another long, sustained drive here. In that first half, you got to credit Salem Hill's defense. They played tough, but we've seen a little bit of chink in the armor, if you will.
It has gone to halftime over in Heber, 21-9. Wasatch leading Maple Mountain. while Springville leads Provo 20-0. That one's in the third quarter up in Provo. Dons fake a little razzle-dazzle there as Joshua Buck gets out close to the 40-yard line. They had the reverse there as an option, and there Joshua Buck decides to keep it.
And Salem bit on that fake because it looked like Joshua Buck was going to go nowhere. And instead of tackling, it looks like Kobe Carter kind of got stuck in a tough place there where he had the tackle on Buck.
2nd and 4 coming up right here. Give straight up the middle. That's going to be good enough for a Don's first down across the 45-yard line or so. And you see Salem Hills really loading the box right here. They're selling out on the run.
Yeah, and they have no choice because Spanish Fork's getting big chunk plays here. But with all the misdirection and options that Spanish Fork has in this run attack, I think it really keeps defenses on their heels.
Straight up the middle again, and bouncing off a tackler there. Still on his feet is Tayson Reed. Reed's he's gonna end up getting 9 yards or so, be close to another first down.
And Tayson Reed's kind of the backup running back because I think they want to keep him fresh at his linebacker spot, but when he gets the ball, it's exciting. He's able to take it to the house on any play. That time should have been a gain of about a yard or two. Instead, Reed breaks a couple of arm tackles that time and gets almost a first down.
5:08 to play, third quarter. Dons 14, Skyhawks 0. The Dons pitching the shutout here so far through 2 1/4. I formation again. They'll give it to the fullback, and I think he's going to have enough there to get the first down.
And they give it to number 34. I'll let you pronounce that one, Ryan.
Feilua there on the carry, number 34. Nice pickup there, enough for a first down.
Yeah, Feiluli didn't need much, and he just got it just by the nose of the football there. And Spanish Fork with another set of downs here, and really they've possessed the ball most of this third quarter. This is their second possession. Salem Hills going an unconventional. I think they might have picked up one first down on their drive.
And Spanish Fork not doing anything super tricky. Here's Rupena. He gets outside. He's going to have a first down run to the 32-yard line. There is a penalty flag in the area of holding, so this one may not stand. But if he does, Tubby Rupena has a first down.
And Rupena lined up kind of on the outside as a tight end there, showing some moves.
That's going to be, I think, in the area. I think that's going to be a hold against Spanish Fork. So the 6-foot junior will have the first down taken away. It will back the Dons, however, back up to their own 45-yard line. And Salem Hill's defense right now just really, I think, Chris, you get the feeling that the Skyhawks need some kind of defensive play or something to get that defense off the field.
Yeah, and it looks like Spanish Fork's going to be forced to call a timeout here. Kate Olson calls it that time. And, if Salem Hills gets a turnover, gets a little momentum, they're not that far behind. We've seen, 14-point deficits disappear in the second half.
Right here, they take the timeout on the field here. Thanks for joining us here on Spanish Fork 17. We got another a good game next week coming up here on Spanish Fork 17. We'll go over to Maple Mountain, Chris, and if you were to tell me back in August that we may have two teams in Maple Mountain and Salem Hills with one win each going into September 24th, I probably would have said I don't think that's going to be the way it plays out, but there's a very good chance at the end of, if tonight's results hold, Chris, that Maple Mountain, Salem Hills each with one win heading into that contest.
Yeah, and last year we had that exciting overtime game where Maple Mountain was dominating, and then we saw it a comeback by Salem Hills to force that in overtime, and Maple Mountain coming out victorious. That was probably the game of the year that we did as far on the excitement level. So it's always fun to see Salem Hills and Maple Mountain Battle. They've had some epic battles over the years. And last year's game here at Spanish Fork, Salem Hills came from behind in the fourth quarter to win that one.
First down and 20 for Spanish Fork. A give to Tayson Reed. He tries to bounce it outside. He's brought down, and he'll lose a yard or two or so, but that will get the clock will start to run, at least here for Spanish Fork. But was there another penalty on there?
There was some laundry. I don't know what the call is here. That one came out early, so I don't know if Spanish Fork lined up incorrectly or if Salem Hills was lined up off sides. But some heated discussion between the lines and judgment, or the linesman and the head referee.
So we'll see here. Austin Stevenson, I think, wanting a little bit of an explanation right here. We're waiting to get the call right here. And Salem Hills is backing up like it may be against the Skyhawks here. This may be maybe a guy lined up wrong in the neutral zone or something like that. That's the only thing I can think of, because the Skyhawks move back in the area of about 5 yards. It looks like illegal hands to the face.
That had to have been the corner on that side because it was thrown pretty quick, so it must have been right off the snap there. So that really helps Spanish Fork get some needed yards to get closer to the first down marker.
Really, between those two penalties, Spanish Fork only lost just a few yards at the end of the play after you kind of cancel out the two penalties almost.
Yeah, first down part 3 here.
Stevenson back to throw, steps up, looks to run. Stevenson's going to get a couple of yards. There's another penalty flag down, though, in the backfield. And again, this is in the area of a hold, Chris, and this would most likely back up Spanish Fork.
And this will be the 4th first down, as we've had 3 consecutive penalties.
So we'll see here as they pick up the flag. The Dons are moving backwards. So this is most likely a hold.
Another yellow card, he was running. And then
No, it's always nice to get the crowd reaction from our mic. When it's a penalty on Spanish Fork, there's always the booing. And then when it's on Salem Hills, we get the cheers. So it's always good to get that bias home crowd here on our broadcast.
A good-sized student section, it looks like, just down to our left here.
There's a lot of people here.
Tayson Reed straight up the middle. First down and more. Or sorry, not a first down and more. He's going to get to the 38-yard line. But again, a penalty back at around the 43-yard line. And again, this looks like it may be another hold.
So we'll have 4 penalties in a row. And this will be our 5th time on this set of downs playing the first down. So holy cow.
We've had about 5 plays, and it feels like only about 30 seconds has come off the clock. As you see it, another holding call is going to be called here against Spanish Fork. It's going to back the ball up to the Spanish Fork 33-yard line.
They only need to get to Salem Hills 34, so it's the old 33 to 34 situation. So we'll call it 1st and 33.
So it's 3:29 to go right here in the third quarter, and we'll see what Spanish Fork does. Give straight up the middle. Joshua Buck bounces it outside, now cuts it back up to the 40. He'll be brought down around the 42-yard line, so he'll pick up, and a penalty flag comes in at the end of the play right here.
I'm just hoping it was an after the we got an injured Don, number 52. Limping off the field there.
Bobo Schwanke there coming off the field.
Yeah. But we'll see. Hopefully we can move on to second down, and this is an after the play penalty.
And we'll see here who it's going to be against. The pattern would say that this would be, we've had a couple of Dons penalties and one against Salem Hills, a couple more against the Dons. The pattern would be this would be against Salem Hills. So it's an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Salem Hills right there. And so that will be first. It's going to be second down. They'll mark off the penalty, and they'll move the ball to the 43-yard line of Salem Hills.
All right, so now we got second down. 5 consecutive penalties, but at least we were able to move on a down. You can't make this stuff up.
I don't know, Chris. We'll see right here. As it'll be second down and 9 coming up. That is probably one of the more interesting sequences we've had in our 6 years together.
Well, Dons have really shortened it up to second 9 after first and 33. So
second down and 9. Stevenson, the quarterback, will drop back to throw. Throws a slant route, has his man, that is caught and incomplete, in and out of the hands of Cade Olson. A tough catch. Olson almost had it, but couldn't control it on his way to the ground, and that brings up third and 9.
Yeah, it looked like Olson had to try and climb the ladder that time and just is unable to come down with it, and that'll bring up third and 9. Unfortunately, there was not a penalty.
So third down and 9. Dons go relatively quick and now set and ready to go. They need the 34-yard line of Salem Hills. Back to throw. Stevenson steps up, going down the sideline, one-on-one coverage, and that one's going to be incomplete. Looking for Jace Gunter, number 6. Heads-up coverage there, coming in from, I believe, number 5, Court Stewart.
Yep. Pretty good coverage by Stewart. He's just a sophomore here, and it's 4th and 9. And this is a tough part of the field. If you're Spanish Fork, you might want to punt with Stevenson and try and pin Salem Hills back. We've seen Stevenson put it into the 3-yard line from about right here? Maybe it was the 4.
So Stevenson is going to have to. Stevenson's trying to get everybody set and ready to go quickly. This is where you kind of have to watch out in the area of a fake. Salem Hills looks like
don't even have anybody back.
And Stevenson standing back at his own about 45-yard line or so. Stevenson's got 2 seconds. It makes me wonder, they might just be taking an intentional delay of game here to give Stevenson a little more room.
And I wondered if also maybe you're trying to get Salem to jump off.
So they'll back Stevenson up 5 yards here. It gives them a little more room to work with.
And I've seen teams decline that just to try and force the punter to have to boot it. Salem Hills will take the penalty.
14-0 lead for the Dons. 2:54 to go, third quarter. Stevenson standing back at his own 41-yard line. Court Stewart and Zobel back deep to receive here for Salem Hills. Gets the kick underway. It's going to be Trayson Zobel at the top of your screen, and Court Stewart will pick it up, actually, more towards the middle of the field. He'll get a few yards straight ahead. Not much going on the punt return by Court Stewart, and the ball will be on the 24-yard line here for Salem Hills with 2:44 to go in the third quarter, and probably like we've said here throughout the third quarter, this may be the first time, though, Chris, that Salem Hills really is in a position where I don't want to say it's a must-score drive, but you really need to get something going to get some points on this drive.
Or at least flip the field position. That last drive felt like it took forever. I know that not that much time came off, but with all the penalties, I wonder if Salem Hills has had a little too much time to think over there.
DeGraff and Reed in the pistol formation right here. DeGraff and Reed bobbles the snap and just has to fall on it back at his own about 16-yard line or so.
We'll give a 2-jack sack on that one. I think Fuliali was in the area.
So it's a loss of 8, makes it 2nd and 16. 2:20 to go here in the third quarter. Spanish Fork and Salem Hills. Region 9 rivalry game But again, most games in Region 9 feels like a rivalry game.
Kind of the odd team out is Wasatch.
Back to throw. DeGraffenried rolls away, takes a shot downfield, has a man out there just out of the reach. Right there of number 4, Ty Bona, the junior wide receiver. A little frustrated that he couldn't come up with that one as you kind of saw him slam his fist into the ground, and that brings up 3rd and 18.
Yeah, if Bona would have been able to come up with that catch there, that could have been a game changer. Instead, Salem Hills with a 3rd and forever again. And we've seen Salem Hills in this situation all night, and they're not having a very good percentage of picking these up.
Springville added a score. It's 27-7 Red Devils on top of the Provo Bulldogs. DeGraffenried rolls to the top of your screen, drops it off there to, that's the running back, Roper K. K will get a couple of yards, but not enough to get back even, I think, to the line of scrimmage. And it'll be 4th down and most likely a punting situation here for Salem Hills.
And Butler tonight has, probably going to set a state record for punts. He's been out on the field a lot, and that's because Spanish Fork's been forced to punt a lot as well. So
Butler's punting from his own end zone. He'll now get it off from about the 2. Good pressure from Spanish Fork. Kate Olson fair catches it at the Salem Hills 45-yard line with 1:09 to play here in the 3rd. And Chris, you look at this drive here, if you are Spanish Fork, this is an opportunity to really try to chew up some clock, but a touchdown here almost puts the game away in a lot of ways.
It does, and especially if you can maybe take off a little bit of time here, keep it on the ground, keep that clock running. If you can spread this thing out into the 4th quarter with a 21-0 lead, the way Salem Hills has been playing, it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to put up 21.
1st and 10 Dons at the Salem Hills 45-yard line. Stevenson in the backfield, joined by Joshua Buck. Here's Stevenson on the keeper. He's got the 40, 35, 30. Stevenson cuts it back outside of the 10 to the 5. Touchdown, Spanish Fork.
What a great run by Stevenson. I didn't realize he had held on to that ball, and I watched the running back just get engulfed on that play. Instead, it's a 44-yard run that time by Stevenson.
And right there, Austin Stevenson uses his legs and just finds a way to take it to the house. And it's a 20-0 lead for Spanish Fork. And the pressure all now on Salem Hills as Stevenson will try to finish off his touchdown with the extra point. Stevenson's been pretty automatic all year, including that one is good as well. And with under a minute to play in the 3rd quarter, it's a 21-0 lead. Spanish Fork on top of Salem Hills. And Chris, that was the big play you were waiting for from the Dons offense, but it has to be a back-breaking touchdown there if you're Salem Hills.
Yeah, it is. And if you, the one good thing for Salem Hills is that play went fast, but Spanish Fork has all the momentum. Now if you're Spanish Fork, you got to be like, okay, how can we get the shutout tonight? We've played excellent defense through almost 3 quarters here. Let's see if we can't finish this thing out with the shutout. And credits Spanish Fork. They've been a little stagnant on offense, but here in the second half, they've come out running and they've ran it well.
Austin Stevenson set to kick it away. Back deep to receive has been Court Stewart. He's to the bottom of your screen. Dagan Gamble to the top.
Gotta wonder if Stevenson kicks this in. He's been running a lot.
And right there, that one goes deep and into the end zone for a touchback with 59 seconds to play here in the 3rd quarter. Well, we've seen Salem Hills run it, but primarily, Chris, tonight the Skyhawks have wanted to go to the air, and that's been the tough part here with Luke DeGraffenried, because that Spanish Fork defense has pressured DeGraffenried in almost any situation, whether you wanted to go with 3 down linemen, 4 down linemen, or if you want to blitz with maybe 5 or 6.
And really the only time Salem Hills has had any success is just here and there, but they have thrown a lot of incomplete passes tonight. So we'll have to see if they can get a deep ball, and every time they have, it's been negated by a penalty.
First down and 10, ball on the Skyhawk 20-yard line. Dons look like they're coming on first down. DeGraffenried hit as he throws. Out into double coverage, it's intercepted. Picked off right there by number 5, McKay Peary. And a big turnover right there. The second interception thrown by DeGraffenried here in this contest, and right there he gets hit right as he throws the football.
Yeah, he did, and I didn't see the Don that hit him. Might have been Rapena, or credit the whole defensive line and linebackers. They've been putting a lot of pressure on DeGraffenried, but he didn't get to step into that throw, DeGraffenried that is, and so that thing just kind of floated on him a little bit there. It's a good punt, though.
It's a good punt, and in some ways, in a lot of ways, puts the ball at the Spanish Fork 47-yard line. And now Spanish Fork with the football and a 3-touchdown lead with 53 seconds to play in the third quarter. Just what you want if you're Spanish Fork here on homecoming. Back to throw, Stevenson. Looks to throw, now pulls it down, throws at the last minute, throws kind of a 50-50 ball, and a penalty flag comes in as the pass goes incomplete, but this may be pass interference.
It may be on the offense and defense, but Stevenson's slow to get up there as he took quite the shot at the end of that play himself.
And we'll wait and see here what the call is going to be here from our official. It's going to be personal foul, pass interference, defense. And it's not going to be a personal foul. It's just going to be pass interference. He just made the wrong initial signal. So that will be a 15-yard penalty, and that's a first down for Spanish Fork. And they're into Skyhawk territory at the Salem Hills 38-yard line.
And Spanish Fork might hang up 7 more points before the end of this quarter. They led at the half 7-0, and it might come out of the third quarter with the 28-0 lead.
Stevenson, the quarterback, in the pistol formation. Right next to him is Josh Buck. Buck gets the call, goes straight ahead, and gets about 3 yards on first down.
And Spanish Fork's keeping it simple there on that play, just running it up the middle a little bit and let some clock run off here.
The Dons don't have to snap it here in the third quarter. They could just run the clock out if they wanted.
And
in some ways.
Let's see. I bet they run one more play here. They're coming over to the sideline. I think they realize it.
I think they were going to run the play. I don't think they're going to now. They will walk over to the sideline, and they'll be content to take a 21-0 lead into the fourth quarter at home on homecoming. The Dons offense comes alive in the third. It's 21-0 Dons here on Spanish Fork 17.
If you're looking for a workout, you know MVP Sports is the place to start, and that includes pickleball. MVP Sports has all you need to get active in this growing sport: paddles, shoes, clothing, and the pickleballs. MVP Sports in Spanish Fork.
The best time to check your furnace is before it fails, and you can rely on Triple T to do the job right. Our technicians are trained every year so you can sleep better at night, knowing your furnace is safe to operate. Call Triple T at 798-7711 to schedule your tune-up today.
Hey, I didn't order any pizza.
After you saved me so much dough on insurance with that Parker promo, I devised a promo for you.
State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
Right.
If you want the real deal, contact State Farm agent Lance Wilson today.
Start of the fourth quarter here on Spanish Fork 17. Ryan Pickens alongside Chris Hurst. And Chris, 2 touchdowns in the third quarter, really putting Salem Hills back against the wall, and in a lot of ways right now, you wonder if those 2 touchdowns really sealed the deal for Spanish Fork.
Most likely they did. We haven't seen anything going on the offensive end for Salem Hills. They have struggled to get the ball past the 50 really all night long. I think they got it inside the 50 on a punt when their defense was holding Spanish Fork. But now that Spanish Fork's been able to sustain a run game, we haven't seen much resistance here from Salem Hills in the second half.
Wasatch has gone up 35-9 on Maple Mountain in the third quarter. Something just to keep in mind there, and looking to see here. And at the end of 3, Springville leading Provo 27-7. Some games throughout the state starting to go final, but we got 12 minutes left here. Joshua Buck in the backfield next to Austin Stevenson. Buck gets the carry. He's going to get inside the 30, down to the 27. Ball comes loose, and it's Salem Hills who comes away with the football.
I believe that's number 5 that came up with that fumble, and that's Court Stewart with a big play. We've called his name multiple times.
Joshua Buck there, just I think not even really trying to fight for the extra yard, just lost the handle on the ball. Court Stewart in a nice spot there to fall on it. The first Spanish Fork turnover of the evening, and now Salem Hills quickly has the ball with 11:53 to play in the fourth quarter. But if Salem Hills is going to get back in this, they need a touchdown. They need one quick.
Yeah, for sure. And on that last play, it looked like Joshua Buck got tackled on top of somebody, and the ball ended up squirting out. So that looked like the right call.
Kobe Carter in the backfield, joined by DeGraff and Reed. DeGraff and Reed pressured again, looking downfield, throws back across his body, almost intercepted Darian Harrison, number 11. And there's a penalty flag that's been thrown.
Well, if you like punts in the first half, this was the place to be. If you like penalties in the second half, we're still your one-stop shop for that.
You said you liked offense. Do you like penalties?
No.
Okay, so we're 0 for 2, Chris.
Okay.
I mean, you know,
we got a little offense there in the third quarter, so I'm content.
First down and 10 here. I got a very audible no on the penalty idea up here in the booth. So,
but depends on what team it is up here in the booth. Some people, if it's on Salem Hills, they're more than happy to see penalties. So this one's on Spanish Fork, so it's a negative up here in the booths. The vote we're getting.
So a penalty against the Dons. That will give a first down here to Salem Hills across the 40-yard line. They'll be at the 42. Right here, DeGraff and Reed at quarterback with Kobe Carter.
The kids are coming up and waving at our window, Ryan. That's one of the features here in the booth.
Low snap. DeGraff and Reed thought about it, fires it in there, incomplete. Looking, I believe, for Alex Cloward, number 20. DeGraff and Reed looked there more like a pitcher compared to a quarterback, trying to fit it into a tight window.
He did, and it looked like Dylan Thomas had a clean run to the quarterback. He stopped thinking that the play was dead and really could have just laid out DeGraff and Reed and disrupted the timing. But you got to play until you hear a whistle. Maybe he heard something that sounded like a whistle. Anymore, you don't want to take a shot on the quarterback. You're too afraid to get a penalty, which we don't like if it's on Spanish Fork.
Second down and 10, ball on the 42-yard line. 4 wide receivers ready to go right here. Back to throw. DeGraff and Reed steps up. He's going to run. He's going to, I thought he was going to break a tackle. He's going to get a good gain there of 5, maybe 6. And a nice job there by Luke DeGraff and Reed. He hasn't ran a ton tonight, hasn't had a lot of opportunities to, but there makes it a third and manageable for Salem Hills.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to break the tackle of Lunkins that time, but Lunkins is able to not only put on a big hit, but also take the next step and wrap up. A lot of times you see guys hit somebody hard and then they just fail to wrap up, so great job by Lunkins wrapping up, or DeGraff and Reed would have got the first.
2nd and 5 coming up here for Salem Hills. Kobe Carter joining the backfield. DeGraff and Reed looking to throw. Steps up, pressured from behind, throws that one, and they're going to say it looks like it's complete, and that is Ty Bona on the catch, and a first down for Salem Hills.
A great job by DeGraff and Reed staying alive in the pocket there, stepping up and throwing that across the middle, though. We've seen him do that a couple of times, and he got away with it that time, but he hasn't every time he's done it.
1st and 10, ball on this Spanish Fork 46-yard line. This is the kind of drive we've been, in some ways, waiting for Salem Hills to have, but they haven't been able to sustain a long drive this evening. DeGraff and Reed and Kobe Carter. And DeGraff and Reed back to throw. With some time, steps up, has some time to throw, now being pressured. DeGraff and Reed doesn't have much down the field. Now DeGraff and Reed breaks one tackle, meets a couple of other Dons, and will go down for about a 2-yard loss.
Really exciting 2-yard loss there, and credit Salem Hills offensive line. They pancaked a couple of guys DeGraff and Reed had all day, and Spanish Fork had to bring a couple guys in to blitz late, but if that's really a coverage sack because nobody was open deep as Spanish Fork decided to drop 8, mix it up. Coaching staff's been doing a really good job of mixing it up where sometimes they're going ahead and they're blitzing and sometimes they're dropping back 8.
Quarterback coach Nate Kiesel, offensive coordinator Scott Brumfeld, and Joel Higginson, the co-offensive coordinator. Low snap. DeGraff and Reed now picks it up and gets tripped up from behind for a 2 Jack's Pizza quarterback sack for Tayson Reed.
Yeah, Tayson Reed's got 2 rushing touchdowns. Now he has a sack to add to his stat total tonight. But anyways, so a lot of this Salem Hills coaching staff played right here at Spanish Fork. Joel Higginson, Jeff Higginson, Scott Brumfield, you mentioned he made it all the way to the NFL as a former Don. So both, so I'd say more of a Don coaching staff over on the other side of the field.
It's going to be 3rd down and 16. Back to throw. DeGraff and Reed sets up the screen pass, gets it to Kobe Carter, and Carter gets about 2 yards or so before he's brought down. And Spanish Fork doing a nice job, but a penalty flag has been thrown.
I don't think you can flex anymore, but look at the pressure here. Screen pass, so Salem Hills gets out of it with the perfect coverage, but it's brought down by big number 34 that time. Faliali, sorry to his parents.
So we'll see here. I think this is going to be marched off against the Dons, however.
And if that's the case, it'll be a 1st down.
So it's going to be offsetting penalties and make it 4th down.
I wonder what the record is for penalties in one set of downs, because I don't know if somebody has that information. Maybe we set a state record or some sort of national or world record tonight in that one set of downs where I think we had 5 penalties in a row and then tacked on another one in that set of downs. But got a timeout here.
We're going to see here. I don't know if anybody would keep track of that. And now they'll get the clock and everything running right here. Skyhawks will punt with Butler back at his own 37. And they're going to fake it. That's Zaylen Fenn. Throws back. Has a man out there. It's caught. 1st down, Skyhawks. That's Trayson Zobel on the catch. And Salem Hills has a big play. And a nice job for Zaylen Fenn there, who came in to make the throw.
I think Spanish Fork's coaching staff recognized that. They sent the second punt returner up to play a little defense, but unfortunately a little too late as Fenn, number 8, makes a great pass there.
I was just looking out there, and I was like, that doesn't look like Bruce Butler. It looks like it's a single number, and it was.
Butler's number 31, Fenn's number 8, so great call there by the Salem Hills coaching staff with their backs against the wall. They're not going to go home punting.
Fresh set of downs for the Skyhawks. They're down to the Spanish Fork 32-yard line. 8:03 to go, 4th quarter. 21-0 lead for Spanish Fork on top of Salem Hills. 1st and 10 coming up. DeGraff and Reed in the pistol formation. Back to throw. DeGraff and Reed incomplete It's that pass there looking for Zobel, who really has been the number one target, it would seem, tonight of DeGraffenried.
Yeah, he's been a big target. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to connect as many times as they want. And if you're Salem Hills, I was thinking this has got to be the deepest they've been in Spanish Forks territory. They're down to the 32 here. My guess is it's touchdown or bust. I don't think we're going to see Butler attempting a field goal, although we're probably about 5 yards outside of his range of being accurate.
2nd down and 10, ball on the 32-yard line. Butler kicked one last week through the wind, I think from 40+. DeGraffenried throws that one over the middle. The pass is going to be intercepted.
It's a McKay Perry again.
That is number 5 coming up with it, the senior. A nice job right there for the Dons to create the turnover. Off the tip pass, believe it was, I didn't see who got it, but Don tips that pass right there.
So that's a 3rd INT for Salem Hills tonight, adding to their season total. That's the one thing DeGraffenried has really struggled with is INTs, but they've had to throw it a lot tonight, especially to try and come back. But credits Spanish Forks secondary. They've been playing tough. There has not been too many open guys here. Between the pressure and the coverage, really A+ game for Spanish Forks defense if we're giving out grades tonight.
DeGraffenried, that would be, I believe, his 14th interception of the year to only 4 touchdowns. Straight up the middle. Not much there on 1st down, I believe, for Joshua Buck. That's not Buck. That is Feliua, number 34.
Yeah, just a simple run to the fullback that time. Sometimes they will kind of use that as a change up here. And if you're Spanish Forks coaching staff, you probably just want a long drive, maybe get 7 points up here, but chew up a lot of that clock so you can try and keep your team injury-free going into next week's game at Provo.
Because that will be a big one for Spanish Fork up at Provo to have an opportunity to try to see. In some ways, the region championship could be on the line. Getting outside, Buck turns the corner, looking for the 30. He's got about the 25 or so. They'll mark him down to about the 27.
No, keep that clock running there. The interesting thing is I think really there's 4 teams based on the preseason that have a really good shot and the first week of winning this region, and it's Wasatch, Spanish Fork, Springville, and Provo. So it'll be interesting as those teams go head-to-head what happens in the first 3, or they've got 3 in the top 3, and then Wasatch is at number 7 in the RPI. So the computers agree that it's going to be a tough Region 9 haul here, and we'll have to see if those teams drop or if one can lead the pack this year.
We'll be here at Dawn Stadium for the Wasatch game in a couple of weeks, as there's a give up the middle there. That will be about 4 or 5 yards on 1st down for, I believe that was Tayson Reed on the carry, and it was. Tayson Reed's wearing green cleats.
And he's got the knee brace.
That's how I've been able to tell the difference tonight between Tayson Reed and Joshua Buck. Because if you've listened to other broadcasts, I have a hard time with 28 versus 29 sometimes.
Well, and anytime you have a 6, an 8, or a 9, those last number of the jerseys are really hard to tell.
The Dons wearing gray uniforms on red numbers. And there's a high snap over the head of Austin Stevenson. He'll go back and fall on it, back at the 11-yard line. Stevenson lucky there to be able to corral that one.
Hey, it's a good thing he outran Fenn, because Fenn was flying in there to get that ball as well from his linebacker position for Salem Hills.
And now it's going to set up 3rd down and 22 or so. Yeah, 25, 22, something.
They got to get to the 38. They're at the 12, so it's a long ways.
21-0 lead Spanish Fork. 5 minutes to go. 4th quarter on homecoming week here at Spanish Fork.
Take a knee on this one, maybe? No.
Stevenson at quarterback. They'll run just a draw play up the middle. Here's Joshua Buck. Buck's going to get out to about the 32-yard line or so. 31, they'll mark him down, and that's a good pickup from Joshua Buck.
And unfortunately, they lost a lot of yards on the play before with the errant snap. And we've seen a few of those from both sides tonight. Something the coaches will want to probably have an emphasis on in practice this week is making sure that the center to quarterback exchange is a little bit more smooth.
So 4th down and 7 from the 31. Austin Stevenson to punt. Back deep, you see Trayson Zobel to the bottom of your screen. Court Stewart to the top.
And Salem's going to come after this punt here.
Stevenson gets it off from the 21-yard line. Court Stewart runs up at the 38-yard line, catches it and gets up to about the 47 or so before he's brought down. And with 3:54 to go, Salem Hills will have the football.
Salem Hills is running out of time here, so they're probably playing to see if they can't make this game a little bit closer.
Let's take a moment here while we have a quick timeout to thank our sponsors for making this broadcast possible here tonight. We got Mikkel Thompson and Hunter Attorneys at Law, the Driggs Mortgage Team, the Clegg Auto Group, 2 Jacks Pizza, Triple T Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, MVP Sports, and Lance Wilson State Farm Insurance. We thank each of those sponsors here for helping make each and every Friday night possible here on Spanish Fork 17. As they go on 1st down, they complete the pass downfield. Wyatt Hickman, number 7 on the catch, and Hickman's going to run inside the 20 down to about the 18-yard line.
Finally brought out of bounds by Ross, but Wyatt Hickman, his first catch of the game that I can recall, and he really made the most of it as he wanted that one to go all the way to the end zone. Salem Hills is not giving up here. They don't want to be shut out in this this rivalry game. Adjacent city rivalry game, I guess you'd call it.
I would imagine there's a lot of bragging rights on the table right here. New quarterback in the game as well for Salem Hills as Nelson drops back to throw. That one's going to be almost intercepted, and it is. Darian Harrison across the 35 to the 40. Harrison a foot race to the end zone, to the 20, to the 10. Touchdown, Spanish Fork, Darian Harrison.
Wow, great job of Harrison reading the quarterback's eyes in that situation and then really just attacking at the right time from his safety position, and then he's got the wills to bring that home. So that's a huge Lance Wilson defensive assist.
A touchdown there. Jackson Nelson was the quarterback who had came in and throws the pick 6, and that will make it a 27-0 lead for Spanish Fork. Austin Stevenson will come on here for the PAT. We've seen some offensive scores, some defensive scores.
And you're going to win a lot of ball games if you can keep the other team at a 0, based on my math, Ryan.
I would say you're going to win or you're going to have a really long tie, but let's be honest, eventually you'll score. Austin Stevenson on for the extra point. Snap good, hold good, kick. Good as well. 28-0. Spanish Fork on top of Salem Hills.
And Spanish Fork's defense is playing very well tonight, and their defense has set up the offense. The offense has struggled a little bit at times. They've gotten the ground and pound game going here in the second half. I think they might have been a little flat or possibly underestimated Salem Hills' defense tonight, but nonetheless, Spanish Fork up 28-0. They've got to be feeling pretty good about themselves heading into tomorrow's homecoming dance.
Always good to win your homecoming game, especially for the seniors, and probably even better when you beat the cross-town, cross-area rival, the neighboring city.
The adjacent fellows, you get our point. Yeah, Salem Hills and Spanish Fork with some epic battles that we've called. We've seen, even Orrin Hatch came out and saw one of the games on September 11th quite a few years ago.
There's a short kickoff going to be returnable. Coming up to pick it up is going to be Gamble, and Gamble's going to get across the 10 before he's wrapped up by a whole host of Dons at the 11.
we're starting to see some of the backups here on that kickoff return. I imagine Spanish Fork's going to empty the bench and allow some of those guys that haven't played very much to get some playing time. And as I look at the guys on the field, that's not going to be the case. They're playing for the shutout.
28-0 lead, 3:15 to play, fourth quarter. Next Friday night, we get to see Salem Hills. The Skyhawks are going to be visiting at Maple Mountain in what's going to be a key game, and this is where the RPI, that's a big RPI game in a lot of ways.
Maple Mountain's played a lot of teams tough. They've played a really tough schedule, so both teams will be 1-5, but if you're Maple Mountain, you're sitting at number 30 in that RPI. You have to jump up 6 spots to make the playoffs, and there is going to be some tough games that they have left with Springville and Salem Hills at Spanish Fork. And
straight up the middle, first down carry right there for Roper K. K gets about 3 yards up the middle on first down, and the clock will run now under 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter with a 28-0 lead.
And Salem Hills is trying to kind of reload this year. They lost a lot of talent, along with Maple Mountain for that matter, on their last year's squads. But there's a lot of underclassmen for this Salem Hills team. So imagine next year it'll be a pretty good battle between Spanish and Salem.
Nelson at quarterback here. He'll pull it and roll away. Looking downfield now, throws over the middle, incomplete. And there's a penalty flag down over towards the line of scrimmage. And Chris, you brought up a good point because, I mean, obviously in high school football, you're going to have those classes that come through, really good athletes, and then you're going to lose those guys. And this is where you kind of see the depth of your program. And sometimes you have to rebuild, and sometimes that takes a year or two.
Yeah, it does for sure. We'll see what the penalty here is when the ref turns on his mic.
So a legal procedure against Salem Hills. Penalties declined. Brings up third down and long. These graphics you're seeing right now in the bottom corner of your screen, those are what's on the video board here at Dawn Stadium. And now here, as you see, 28-0 Dawns. Fourth quarter, 2:30 to go. And it looks like the question's going to be, did the defense jump or did the offense draw him to jump? And we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, and how exciting is that to have a stadium with graphics on here? This is an amazing press box we're sitting in. Brand new stadium, brand new turf. Don's football's here to stay. I think Maple Mountain's going to have some renovations on their field and stadium as well, as the district's putting a little bit more money here in the Nebo School District into some of these football facilities, as football's a really popular. It used to be more of a baseball city here in Spanish Fork, and still is, but a lot more into football as well.
Third down and 3 coming up right here, and the nice thing with some of these fields too, you can, and I don't know if you can really, you can kind of see, you see the soccer outlines and the lacrosse outlines as well. You can use these for multiple sports as well. There's a give straight up the middle there for Roper K. And K will be short of the first down, and Salem Hills will send on the punt team here with just a little over 2 minutes to go.
And Spanish Fork pretty much can run out the clock here.
And Darian Harrison will drop back deep.
Coaching staff's telling him, do not return it. Just get a fair catch here. Catch it. Let's get this game over with. Let's try and stay healthy.
And penalty flag and Spanish Fork points in the direction of Salem Hills. If it goes against the Dons, it may give Salem Hills a first down, but I think it's going to be against Salem Hills. And so it's going to be a procedure penalty against the Skyhawks. So that backs up Salem Hills, and they'll have to punt from about a yard deep in their end zone. Minute 54 to go here in this one. The punt is away. Harrison will call fair catch. Goes back to his own 46, makes the catch. And now Spanish Fork will work on just running out the rest of the 1 minute 48 seconds on the clock. And then the Dons can start getting ready for next week's big clash at Provo.
And I think we'll see Hackey come in at quarterback here, number 17 for Spanish Fork. Get some reps in here and get a little extra playing time.
What's going to be the key for them? We saw Provo last week. What's going to be the key for Spanish Fork next week against Provo?
So Provo's a very beatable team. Maple Mountain played with him, had a shot at a pass in the end zone there. I think Spanish Fork just needs to come out with maybe a little more intensity on offense. I think if the defense plays like they did tonight and maybe the offense has a little more spark in them, I think they should have a good shot at beating Provo next week.
Darian Harrison the back here on first down. And Harrison gets the call, goes straight up the middle, back to the line of scrimmage. But the biggest thing right now that Spanish Fork wants is that clock there in the bottom left corner of your screen, just to work that towards triple zeros.
Yeah, and if they can do that, then they'll secure the win here, which is really not in doubt at this point. But yeah, Harrison, the senior, is getting a few runs. He's third string running back for all intents and purposes, mostly on the defensive side, so it's a good chance for him to get some reps, because we have seen Buck and Reed have some trouble in the past staying healthy.
You never know when people are going to get hurt, and Harrison goes up the middle and gets a couple of yards. It never hurts to have the next man up mentality.
And Salem Hills got their lights out. I don't know if we can get our cameras on that, but nobody celebrates like Salem Hills. They've got really good fan support.
As you see right there, pretty good-sized crowd making the trip over from Salem. So it'll be third down and about 6, maybe 7 coming up. But this will most likely be the last play of the ball game now that we're under 40 seconds, unless there's something that will stop the clock. But once we get under 25, this would be it anyway. So this will be the last play of the game. Victory formation for the Dons. And Hackey under center will take the knee, and that will do it right here. The Dons will win on homecoming. They'll shut out Salem Hills. It will be a 28-0 final here from Don Stadium. We'll come back. We'll have some post-game thoughts, and we'll have our MVP Sports MVP of the game. You're watching high school football on Spanish Fork 17.
Nobody plans on getting in an accident, but if you do, you can rely on the expertise of Mike McKell to protect and fight for your rights. Specializing in personal injury law, Mike McKell is the attorney you need. Call McKell, Thompson, and Hunter, 801-798-9000.
Hi, welcome to Two Jacks Pizza.
For the best pizza you'll ever taste and our world-famous cheese sticks, come to Two Jacks Pizza on Main Street in Spanish Fork, or call us for a quick delivery. Are you hungry yet?
I definitely recommend the Driggs team. They're amazing.
Hi, I'm Greg with the Driggs Mortgage team, where we believe there's no substitute for experience. Stop by our office today on Main Street and let us help you get into your brand new home.
At Clegg Auto Body, we pay attention to all the finer details, the small things. You know, a lot of people feel like they want their car quick and fast, but it takes time to get perfection. We work for the customer.
Well, it's a 28-0 final here at Spanish Fork High School. Ryan Pickens alongside Chris Hurst. And Chris, this is one of those games where we saw defensive battle. And one thing we kind of talked a little bit about when we got ready to start the third quarter, would we see one of the defenses wear out? And really, I mean, you started to see where the stamina of Spanish Fork, I thought, really swung that in the second half.
Yeah, I think that the big difference there was Spanish Fork had the ability to run the ball. Salem Hills did not. They were one-dimensional. Spanish Fork could really just rear their ears back and blitz, and also do quite well on defense as they're letting the fans out onto the field tonight to celebrate this win. And well-deserved 28-0 win. Is anytime you can get the shutout at the high school level, that's huge. I can't remember the last time. Actually, I can remember one time. I remember, I think, East shut out Spanish Fork up at East High School when East was the all-star team.
It's hard to get a shutout in high school football because eventually somebody's going to make a play or score, you would think. But when you really take a look at tonight's contest, And tonight, that's what the Spanish Fork defense did. They just waited around for DeGraff and Reed to start getting a little errant, and when he did, it turned into a couple interceptions.
Yeah, and so multiple guys had interceptions. McKay Perry had 2. We're going to give him our MVP of the game. Harrison took one to the house on a pick 6. Also another candidate, but all the defense was an MVP overall tonight. Is anytime you shut out the opponent, your win probability is about 100%. So, yeah, great job by the defense there.
Offensively, when you take a look at it, when you look at Tayson Reed on the offensive side, you talk about waiting for somebody to make a big play. Tayson Reed made his presence felt a couple of times, and both times, really, the two big plays went for 6.
Yeah, they did, and really Spanish Fork's offense was not moving the ball at all, and they load up the backfield. I think it was a 4th down run, and Tayson Reed takes the ball up the right side with great blocking, untouched for 29 yards. And, man, once he gets past that secondary, it's going to be tough to catch him. Tayson Reed has great speed, and then also he has the ability to break tackles, and we saw that on his second run as he broke about 2.5 tackles there on his way into the end zone.
Next week, we're back over at Maple Mountain, Salem Hills, Maple Mountain. Chris, we've seen both of these teams. Give me just give me 2 keys to that one that you think, what would make the difference in that ballgame?
For Salem Hills, I think their key is going to be able to force some turnovers out of Maple Mountain. We've seen Maple Mountain turn the ball over or have some game-changing penalties. So I think they'll need to, force some turnovers to get their offense going. And for Maple Mountain, I think what they're going to have to do is, this is a tough Salem Hills defense, but they're going to have to find a way to have a balanced attack on the ground and through the air to get some points on Salem Hills.
It'll be a fun one next Friday night. We'll have a 7 p.m. kickoff here on Spanish Fork 17. Well, it's homecoming here. The Dons are going to celebrate, and they're going to celebrate with a 28-0 win over Salem Hills. Spanish Fork season continues to go in a really good direction. It could be a special season for tonight, the team that's wearing the gray. For our entire Spanish Fork Community Network team and my partner Chris Hurst, I'm Ryan Pickens saying so long tonight from Don Stadium, a 28-0 final. Spanish Fork beats Salem Hills.